Have you ever thought about why Texas is shaped the way that it is? 3 of its boundaries are literally the shape of water. How it's grown, its economy, where its populations are. Water's the lifeblood of this state.
Water is our most valuable natural resource. You expect it to be there when you turn on the tap or when you go to the river, but if you don't take care of it, it won't be.
Texas is experiencing unprecedented population growth, decreasing water supplies and increased demands. You don't have to be a water scientist to know that you've got a supply and demand issue there.
This is an issue we need to address together. Growth is great, but there's a demand for water to accompany that growth. You have to have a supply for the people and for the organizations that are bringing them here.
There's a public awareness piece of it that is really critical. And that is why Texas Water Foundation is building the first statewide water campaign.
In our region of Texas, we rely very heavily on water. Our ag industry, both in crops and animals, is very water reliant. Our energy industry is water reliant. So the fact that we have a depleting water supply is a very real issue to us and one that needs to be addressed and worked on.
People think about water in the middle of a crisis, be it drought or flood. They don't think about what it takes to deliver it every day. You have to continually invest in the infrastructure, protect the source water for our growth and our economic development.
Texas is a state with amazing diversity in landscape, in culture, but also in how it uses water. So Texas Runs on Water is a movement inspiring Texans to change the way that we value and view water.
There's another campaign in Texas that is well known. It's called Don't Mess with Texas. It was an anti-littering campaign in the 1980s and has been really successful in getting Texans to rethink littering on Texas highways. Texas Runs on Water is built to do the same thing, to tap into the sense of pride and place and to make Texans aware of and to value how it is that water will shape their future. But unlike Don't Mess with Texas, water's a little more nuanced than littering. You can't just have a singular message or a singular challenge. Water usage in Houston is very different than the way that we use water in the Panhandle. We had to build a campaign that was able to be flexible and to be localized to an individual community, to an individual industry, to an individual resource.
Everyone feels like they're on the same team when it comes to water, and a campaign like Houston Runs on Water is key to that. Not only did it highlight some of our natural waterways for recreation, but it made it easier to talk about restrictions during the drought times, and it is vital to what we do here in Houston.
Texas Runs on Water and the Panhandle Runs on Water campaigns are catching people's attention and bringing it to the front of their minds, how they preserve water, how they're thinking about water, and what they understand about water as part of our future.
If you really think about the things that make Texas great, none of it's possible without our people and our water.
Agriculture, commerce, technology,
Manufacturing, barbecue, adventure,
Summertime, football, fashion.
Texas.
Texas.
Texas runs on water.
So thank you. Tonight is our March 2023 Blockhouse Mud meeting. We just played a video from the Texas Water Foundation. It'll be part of the recording, and it's just a little insight into water in Texas. So I thought it was kind of interesting, so I wanted to share it with our residents and with everyone. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will have 30 seconds of silence. Okay, thank you. So we're gonna start with citizens communication. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had a special meeting and we did citizens communication a little differently where we had it at the beginning and throughout the meeting. Tonight is a regular meeting, so we're gonna stick with citizens communication at the beginning. You have 3 minutes, but part of our agenda is to discuss how we're going to run the meeting if we wanna do citizens communication throughout the meeting. The goal is to be able to listen to residents and hear them on their concerns throughout the meeting, as well as to run an efficient meeting. So we have one gentleman, Mr. Tukey? Is it Tukey? If you could just stand, yeah, right there. We have the owl system, so if you stand right there, we'll be able to hear you, and you have 3 minutes.
Pardon?
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Donald Toohey. I'm the property owner and resident of 14908 Snelling Drive here in Leander. Bring you attention to several items for consideration. At 14910 Snelling Drive, there's a big amount of trash, garbage left by the previous resident, and the people that cleaned out the house. It's been there for over 3 weeks, and it's a health hazard. I have a picture of it here. I'll leave with you.
Please.
2, the fence on Fort Hood next to the 14910 property in Big Falls is rotten, broken, and missing slats and in desperate need of repair. 3, the sidewalk adjoining the property 14908 and 14910 is a safety trip hazard. I sprayed it with paint so people would be aware of the drop off on the sidewalk. I believe the trash bin at 14910 is not in compliance with budget regulations. The 4910 property has a playground or something to that effect that I believe is not in compliance with budget regulations. The property at 14910 has a storage shed that I believe is not in compliance with the budget regulations. Thanks for your time and listening. I hope something can be done to correct these items. Proud to be living here in Blockhouse Creek, such a clean and pleasant area. I just want to see the area maintain its beauty and cleanliness. And since I am sincerely going to, I have my address, everything in there. Here's a picture of the trash.
Okay, thank you.
Pictures of the fence.
Great, thank you. That's helpful.
This is a picture of the sidewalk. I didn't have pictures of the other areas, but I'm sure that you might want to go and view them. I'd be glad to leave all this with you. This is an ongoing thing that's happened at this property since the last 2 years or better. The people live there. I sent letters to the health department back in May of 22. Had no response. I dropped a copy of them off here at this office. Had no response. So I'll leave these copies also with you. But it's just something that, Blockhouse Creek is a nice area. When I moved here, I rented, and I liked it so much, I bought the house. So, it's something that, to be proud of. I'm always proud of where I'm at. When my neighbors come by and comment me on my lawn, and it's kept in such nice, good condition and all. Have fabulous neighbors that live on different sides, and then we work together and all, and, it's a great community.
That's wonderful.
But I hope maybe these can be continued and checked on and seen what action can be taken and everything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming tonight. I know the full board does. We will give this to our attorney and the subcommittee of deed restrictions, and we'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other citizens communication? Just on Don's thing, have we confirmed that's OA or MUD?
selling, it's mud.
It is mud. I know, isn't Snelling have a couple of OA?
There is a little OA, but that was 14902 is where that starts, so he's 3 away from the OA side. I
Okay,
don't
so
think I
different
heard
side.
14902.
He's away?
No,
Oh.
3 doors away is 14902, which is Snelling. 14902, that's where OA begins, but
Okay, I
unless
just
he,
want to clarify
I
that.
don't think
so-
he mentioned
okay.
14902 or
You
anything.
guys-
I heard him say 908 and 910.
Yeah, okay.
I was looking
That
at, I
address is
was
on the
looking at
list.
one of the.
It's on our list, okay.
Yeah, not both of them though, but one
Okay,
of them.
great, all right, thank you.
This is-
Okay, let's go ahead and move forward, no more citizens communication. We are going to, we're not moving anything up? No. Okay, great, let's go to consent items. Do I have approval to the minutes from February, which I believe they were modified, right, February? That was the one where the letters,
No, that was January, and I got
Okay.
direction to correct
Those
those.
are March,
Yeah, so
okay.
those were approved as amended at the meeting last
Okay.
time, so those should be finalized. But these would be the minutes from your last, the
okay,
regular
do I have a
meeting in
motion to approve?
I move they be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then let's go ahead and go to PR communications. Actually, I'm not sure what that's under there. Okay, so Blockhouse Owner Association. Just a minute.
February. That might be a little out of order.
Yeah, okay.
So we, held our first event for 2023, Kite Festival and Easter egg hunt. The weather and the wind was not in our favor, but we had about 50 kids for the Easter egg hunt and about 100 people for the Kite Fest. So it was a nice day, except when the wind blew not enough. So, I think that went off very well, and we need to do some more advertising. Gonna get with Lisa to talk about, it was our lack of, advertising, and we'll do better. The next event coming up, and we already have approval from y'all, is Shred Day, which is at, Germano, and it's April 1st. April is our Green Month, and this has been a co-sponsored event by the MUD in the district. The only things that you guys have to do are the garage sales, advertise those, and we have some signs for that, and the large item drop-off at Germano. So, and then we have an eco fair that we're gonna do right out here under the trees. Boy Scouts are gonna have the pavilion, and we're gonna share, and it should be fine. And then the disc golf tournament, we don't have permission for that yet. It's gonna be at Germano, and I don't have times on here. Once they're approved, I've got a kind of format that I wanna send to Lisa to give her all the details of kind of what's going on and what it looks like, just so that we're on the same page.
So Sandy, you said the rest of these need to be approved, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the items?
Just to make sure none of these conflict with anything on the schedule.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
Lisa
yeah,
will
make
work
sure.
with Sandy on that.
In that case, I move to approve the list of events on the.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just really quick discussion.
What?
Can we invite contractors to different items? Like, I sure would love to see Lisa out at the disc golf course, but she's not a resident, so,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
all right.
I mean, we're not gonna make her, require her to be there,
No, no,
but yeah.
But I'd like to invite her.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to re-vote that, or I think we're all okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So you invited her to our event, thank you.
So noted.
So normally, Robert, we do a motion and a second, and then we have discussion, and then we vote. So we voted and then you had a
It went kind of
discussion.
fast, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
apologize
No,
for
just stop me, if
for
we need to, okay.
backing up a little bit.
Okay, Sandy, anything else?
Okay, July 4th, last year we did a co-sponsor with the MUD. What I need to do is get with Lisa to see which ones y'all wanna co-sponsor
Yes.
again. I assume July 4th and,
Back to school.
back to school.
Yeah.
Those are two big ones, and we'll do like we did last year.
Yes, and the lantern parade, we're gonna discuss maybe adding a dog walk this year to that.
That would be awesome.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, oh, the only thing that's not on here are the, lantern parade workshops that will be at Germano. And again, I'll get that to you so that we can get those.
We'll find it, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to, report from Williamson County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Lovato.
Yes, ma'am, good evening. So one thing, Deputy Vega, he's gonna be the new deputy that's gonna be joining us. We're in the works of getting them all set up so we can start working next month. We didn't really have anything that notable. You actually won't see this until the next reports come out, but there was a dog that was loose and was fighting with another dog on Blockhouse. It was, well, not with the dog, it was trying to go through the fence, the residence fence. When the deputies got there, apparently there was some sort of disturbance between the two residents. By the time deputies got there, they were gone. We weren't able to identify them or him. In that process, a resident was driving by, taking pictures, videoing, and then when the deputy tried to go talk to him, he flipped off the deputy. So, didn't know if you guys were gonna get a complaint about it. He said there was one cop car parked in the street. Thinks maybe that's why he got upset. I didn't know if you guys got any complaints on that or not. Not a big deal. I mean, we're used to that. We get spit on all the time, so not a big deal. Another thing that was brought to my attention, one of our deputies was getting ready to lock up the Germano Park. Apparently there was somebody in there. They went to go tell him, hey, there's 25 minutes left. And they proceeded to say, I'm getting that changed. You guys never lock up the gates at the same time, then asked, do you know who I am? If there are any issues with the way the deputies run stuff, I ask that you would please let Lisa know, and then Lisa comes to me, because it was a board member. That's all I ask. If there's any issues, please come to me. If it's a regular resident, obviously they can say whatever they want to the deputy, but when they say that they're a board member, I really don't like them confronting my deputies. So I just ask that you go to Lisa and come to me.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be identifying as directors. I
Yeah,
think we kind of discussed that,
yeah.
before. And,
Was that anyone here? Can I just ask?
no, I forget his name,
Cantu,
I'm sorry?
Cantu.
Oh, so you.
I got his first name. Yeah, no, I locked the gate because he wasn't there to lock it on time, but nobody was in there. But, yeah, there was no, like, hey, this is who, do you know who I am or anything like that. It was just like, hey,
You're
I am.
identifying yourself.
I am, and,
That's not the way he took it, because I guess apparently after he said you got about 25 minutes and I gotta lock up the gate, said you were kind of curt with him, so.
we actually chatted quite a bit after he came in to lock the gate, but, yeah, well, I'll be happy to talk with you on that, and I'll go through you.
Cool.
One of the things we do need to think about is the community gardens. You can be out there in the evening at dark. We have lights out there, and so we need to talk about the Humana Gates. I think that's on the agenda, but I think you were out there was that when you were out there for the community gardens? Or was that at a different time?
I had went out there.
I mean, it doesn't matter, but my point is, if a resident is in the community gardens and it's after dusk, they can still be there.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out the gate situation to make it easier on y'all, make it easier on us.
We did have a resident that we locked in.
Well, and she was at the community gardens.
And she was at the community gardens, so I will work with you.
Okay.
We need to discuss it and figure out a good plan, but Jamana
I think for the time being, it is, the plan is you guys lock the swing gate if nobody's in there.
Mhm.
And then the other ones we're accountable for, but if they're not locked, then let us know, and then we can figure out what's going on.
Okay, so does that mean then you don't want us to tow any vehicles that are in there after dusk?
Let's get back to you on that.
Okay.
Let's just put a pause on that, if you don't
I'll let
mind.
the deputies know.
Yeah, I think we need to look at that, and I wanna hear from all the board members and see, but especially with summer coming up, people are gonna be out there at the community gardens more, they're gonna be out there doing different things, and we're having a lot of issues with the locks and such, so let's just give us a moment to have a deeper discussion, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we wanna make sure we've got good guidance for you, but yeah, we're trying to work through a lot of stuff with this, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Blaine, I completely understand.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, now PR Communications Subcommittee, Special Events. Do we have anything else?
Anything else?
Okay, newsletter.
Newsletter, we do have, in our memo that any items that you all would like us to add to the newsletter, we need those topics of subject to Amy by the 25th of March, so we can make the April deadline. Also, Amy wanted me to reiterate to you guys that she is going to be doing a board member a month. She'd like to highlight each one of you all. So this month, Robert picked or drew the small short straw. So he's gonna be first as y'all example. All she's asking is that you please read your emails in case next month and the following months until August, if you know you're up, please answer and respond to her.
Great.
It will help her a ton.
Okay. Okay, so the next item is the social media policy. Cecilia's on her way. She asked us to postpone that till she's here, so we're just gonna put that back a little bit. Transparency, the video, number 6. So I did hear, go ahead, you can report.
I actually did get in touch with AT&T. I've signed a contract with them. We do have a surveyor coming out by the end of this week. And we are expected to be on their schedule 1st of April, which should take 30 to 60 days, so it could be end of May, but they're giving me a deadline of actually end of April. So we should have fiber here at the Walker House by then.
Nice.
Yep. We're working on it.
Yeah, we're making progress.
Yes.
Good deal, thank you. Resident survey, and then I'm gonna put 7 and 8 together, because they kind of go together. So we had a great meeting 2 weeks ago discussing the resident survey. Thank you for all of your input and insight and direction. So we have a proposal, number 8, from CD&P. And do I have a motion to approve? Do a second, and then we can have discussion.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
Pretty straightforward in what we talked about last time.
Okay.
Are we looking to approve everything all at once, or,
Yes.
okay, because we're looking at 4 newsletters to be done, and, maybe we get down to that little bit of information. Maybe we do information more by emails and stuff like that, but it just seems like I wanna go monthly on that until we run out of things to talk about.
Let me give you a little bit of overview of what I discussed with Aaron. Because Amy has been actually producing a newsletter that is quite substantial, and she has actually gotten that time down from editing and all that type of thing. We were running anywhere from 12 to 15 hours when we first started. She's down to about 4 hours getting the newsletter completed and with all of its edits in place. But that being said, we could definitely produce a newsletter monthly and then go to CD&P and have them produce us a quarterly newsletter that's robust. It might have pictures in it. They have money in here to have, photographers out at particular events and things to that effect. There might be specific items that once we get into tax season, maybe we want to highlight those items, but we want to try and use them for a more robust newsletter and us kind of produce a smaller one and
Sure.
still with it staying in the budget. But that was our thoughts on that.
Okay.
Can we look into approving everything and then after 3 months or a year, it's like, no, we do want to do the quarterly, or we don't, then add it back on or take it away. My thoughts are, let's ramp up. We're hoping to do more emails now, we're hoping to do more newsletters, and then when we're looking for the more robust ones, like, hey, here's this topic, it belongs in the quarterly, different things like that, then we add it as necessary. But I think that if Amy's able to get us a monthly, I will commit more time to helping out on that.
If I could, Erin, would you mind setting up the queue? I'd like to get your input on that as well.
So we set this up as a time spent and materials incurred kind of a proposal. So just so it does, if you don't want me to do the newsletter, just say don't do the newsletter. And if you don't want me to do anything after the first thing, you can just tell us to stop working. And we can be very flexible. Maybe if it's a monthly newsletter is all that we want to focus on, maybe we can help you build a couple of new email templates that might make it refresh. We can maybe refresh some of the graphics that are within that we can be very flexible with all that, and it doesn't have to be that it is, you know, I wanted to give you guys minimal deliverables so you knew what we were producing for the cost, but we can be very flexible, and it doesn't mean that you are guaranteeing to pay the total.
More of a not
This was
to
kind of like
exceed.
over the year, if you want us to keep coming and, you know, doing things, that's kind of the estimate.
So I would like to see you all do, you know, one at least and see the value of it and such. So, and what I heard from you 2 weeks ago, and what I'm hearing from you right now is you all are very flexible. It's not absolutely black and white. So the motion was to approve this, and I understand what you're saying, Robert, but I think we should stick with the motion unless you have a modified motion.
Well, I have some questions.
Oh,
too.
sure, go ahead.
I guess on the main part of the contract, I understand y'all are very flexible. This is maybe more a question for Director Logan on the motion. So we're looking for approval not to exceed $36,375 for the remainder of the year, and that is to cover anything we ask them to do, not necessarily that we are bound to this set of deliverables to ask for. Because I guess I'm kind of like with Director Young a little bit. I would like to see one of the newsletters I'll put together, but you know, as we're also ramping up our own monthly or our own one, like I don't know if it'll be totally duplicative, whereas I think the one piece that we absolutely cannot do on our own that they can provide for us is survey work. And so that's why I'm just making sure that we're not, when we're making our motion to approve legal, we're not binding ourselves, not you, but on our end, when we're approving this to do 10,000 on the newsletters, we might want to decide to spend more on additional surveys depending upon our response to initial surveys. But that's the piece that we really can't do ourselves.
Director Shoemaker, I think that's a really good point. And when I read through this, I thought that we may want to do 2 surveys. And the way I read this is it was 1 survey. So if we can move that money around and maybe we end up like with 2 newsletters for y'all and then 2 surveys. So
And we can do that within this, and I can add some language that says, you know, we will not move forward with any activities without direction from staff before, maybe that would solve that pretty easily. And then I did on the surveys, you know, I thought about it, and I was like, gosh, this is kind of expensive for a survey, and I hate when I feel like that. But I was like, I feel like it's gonna be really in-depth, and there's a lot that you wanna get out of this. And I was like, especially if we wanna make sure, like, Verify's really, like, with pretty high level of confidence, it's only 1 survey per household. I was like, maybe we should do 1 and just then we'll make sure and see how that goes. And then maybe the next one doesn't have to be that, so we can be flexible within this.
Okay.
Maybe like if we decide we don't need, the next one isn't so many policy or park hour changes, things that are, people are very, want to participate in. Maybe we don't have to verify the addresses and it's a lot, you know, we can remove some of that cost, but we can be flexible.
Okay. Director Johnson, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I think if we can move around within this framework, then I'm comfortable with my motion.
Okay, Director Young?
Yeah, let's move around within this contract.
Okay.
I think, John, I mean, just since you're the attorney, this is a contract, would you read this as giving us authority to direct them to do whatever, any function they perform within the maximum not to exceed cost?
To Aaron's point, it's quoted as time and material, so I think they are moving, and it's listed as fee estimate.
That's what I want to not be
so
the attorney.
That's how I read it, and.
I'll add another sentence also.
Yeah, you know, prior to undertaking anything pursuant to the contract, you know, GM will approve or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So can we authorize you to sign it once that sentence is in there then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we're gonna modify the motion. Who made the motion?
I did. So I'll modify my motion to say that to approve the proposal once the sentence clarifying the flexibility is.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, okay, so it passed. Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to working with you.
I'll coordinate with you.
Yes, we'll talk more. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Wow, that was fast. Okay, so restrictive covenants.
Would you like me to go or do you want to?
Please.
So they did have a meeting actually it was this week on Monday, the 17th. And the information that I do have is basically, I think it would be great to have this on recording. We do have a home that was on English Lumber Loop that had some issues about a tree that was chopped down and a stump that was left. One of the advisory items that Cam gave us was that right now, we should not request for the resident to remove the stump until they are capable of purchasing an additional tree. If they don't remove the stump and purchase an additional tree, then they will eventually end up in a violation, and we don't want residents to have a headache with that. So it's give them ample time to purchase new trees, then once they have the affordability to install the trees and remove the stump, then they'll be okay and within the confines of the covenants. But if we send them a premature letter asking them to remove the stump, then either or, they're still gonna be in violation because they'll only have one tree.
Right.
And so we don't wanna cause more of that, but that's one of the items.
This issue crossed my desk, I'm sorry to jump right in.
No
but-
problem.
And we didn't talk to these guys about it, but my thought is, given the weather that just occurred, trees can be expensive, and if there's some sort of time frame, either you guys, it's like 90 days that the trees are supposed to be replaced or something like that?
That's what I
You're
recall.
supposed to get permission to remove them first.
Yeah.
But
And I've actually gone through this where I had a tree in my yard split in the front. I have 3 in the front. The tree split, I ratchet strapped it together, got an emergency tree cut down service to come cut it down. And then about 60 days later, I got a nasty gram from the attorney saying like, hey, you didn't get approval. And I was like, well, I split out 2 other trees, right? Because you're supposed to get approval for removal.
Yeah.
And I was, if it split, it would have hit my house, the neighbor's house. So I mean, I'll let you finish, but I just want to chime in. I've lived this directly.
Yeah, and so you might be more familiar, and also, with the 2 different standards, the OA standards and those standards, it's always difficult to kind of, but my thought would be that you guys consider a moratorium for anything, requiring tree replacement until like at least the fall, particularly.
Absolutely.
People have to triage their issue, trees are expensive, there's oak wilt, all these different factors.
And in a lot of cases, removing the trees is not an option, regardless of what's said.
Well, like,
You have to take them down.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
not getting permission first in case of the storm, not in all cases, but in case of the storm.
So do we need to do a directive or a motion to do?
Well, actually, that's an issue. I wasn't able to make the call this Friday, but one of the issues I did speak briefly with Director Johnson after about the call, but hey, how'd that go? But, and Sean, maybe something we could just do by directive, but I do think, because I think last weekend was the last weekend for debris at Jumano, right? Obviously, I think we need to have kind of a long window for this event, because there may be some people who are cleaning up debris who, if they miss Jumano right now, they're basically taking it out to the dump, hiring people. We're rapidly getting out of tree planting season, right? You should be planting a tree in the summer, it'll probably die. And fall tree, I mean, you really want to plant them in the spring, right? So you're kind of looking at a year lag. I didn't come up with a set day window, but I would think at minimum, we should give folks 90 days from last weekend, when the last drop-off weekend was, before we even consider taking action. And this is not just a carte blanche.
At minimum.
That's one of the things. I'm not trying to give carte blanche, just don't worry about it. More like to let people know there is still a window to resolve these issues at your disposal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how we want to communicate that to make sure we preserve our legal rights, because eventually there may be folks who choose to not follow the rules, right, after we give them ample time to comply. But I do think it would help to provide some kind of concrete guidance to residents to know that there's a fixed window with which they can rely on, as long as they're still working towards that, they're not have to worry about getting a letter from us for violation. That, or potentially, so we can talk about how long that window should. I think 90 days is minimum at this point, and I would think at minimum we should at least run it from this past weekend when the last drop off was, because now if you haven't gotten it done or something's damaged after, you're gonna have to deal with it. But I just wanted to bring that up for discussion about how we should provide
Well,
guidance.
so what I'd like to do is direct the subcommittee to work with our attorney on that and see, I think you guys can get some information on what other mud districts are doing. I know some of them are just opened up drop off, so, I mean, we're way ahead of the curve here, but I can, Director Shoemaker, I can agree. I had to have a tree taken down, and I'm trying to put a new tree in, and I'm waiting another month, and I did get a nasty gram. It wasn't from the mud, but it was from the OA. So,
That's fantastic.
yeah. So, we need to make it clear if we do communicate in a newsletter, what we are doing in our plan, and make it clear to the, residents that this is the mud side and not the OA side.
Well, I think it might be better, not just like, well, it's not like it might be better to put on the main webpage, like on, as a
Oh, absolutely.
notice on the front page, like,
Yeah,
for this
And an
period.
email and.
yeah, communicate fully. Director Johnson?
I was gonna say that, so just to understand the directive, both the tree removal timeframe, this likely stumps at this point, but also the tree replacement timeframe. And it may not also be bad to remind folks that there are specific trees of specific sizes that it's not any tree, right?
Yeah.
So that might not be a bad
So,
idea.
can I ask, do y'all know, in all the mud covenants, do they all have to have 2 trees?
I don't think is it 2 for all of them? I think.
It depends on the section.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah, I think the varieties of tree like, I don't think my section, like, I think some like require Bradford pear is one of the options. And those are not, like, a lot of the Bradford pears around me, like, got wrecked by the storms or kind of crummy trees.
Yeah.
And in hindsight now, looking at Trip, Bradford pears isn't the best tree to have, I think we're a little more educated on trees and sustainability and such, so.
We can recommend against them, but if they're in those covenants,
Yeah, we can't prohibit, we could probably at least try to string recommend, like, try to pick other trees, which we could work with Trip Reps, I think of a list of trees to recommend to folks, like,
Yeah.
to hopefully avoid some of these issues going
So,
forward.
yeah, that's 2 things for me. One, trying to establish continuity between the different sets of restrictions that are in place that are under Arkansas 1. And 2, making sure that Jack Baker is aware of these conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll probably work on
So
some-
we've
some-
directed the
Who's Jack
subcommittee,
Who's Jack Baker?
Can.
With
the
the
owner of
Cam,
CAM, the
okay.
enforcement.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so we've directed the subcommittee to work with CAM and the deed restriction, is it still Will? Okay, Will, and come back in April to give us some guidance.
Yep.
And then we will do some thorough communications with the residents. Okay, great, thank you. A, 15361 English River Loop.
That's the only one that we still have, the only active lawsuit right now. We do have 2 other items, at 15333 English River Loop, we did have an AC unit that was in the window. They asked, in September for that to be removed. The resident ended up having a camper trailer that was there. The resident did email saying that they have removed both of the items. Jack hasn't been by yet to confirm that violation, but he will be doing a drive-by to confirm.
Okay.
That'll be it.
I'm gonna put this to the subcommittee, do you think it's time for Jack to come to a meeting and kind of, I'm asking the subcommittee?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. He's not with us in person.
Yes.
I was asking the subcommittee,
I understand
so.
that. but
No, I think that'd be good,
yes.
something to do, I think that might be something you might wanna do too, maybe like in June or something, have an opportunity, like maybe when we have that workshop meeting, like we did last time.
Yeah,
If we bother to have Jack come in after hours, like, I think it'd be good to have an opportunity for residents to ask questions.
okay.
So June, so I can.
Or just throwing that out there, like, I think that,
Sure.
June, July, June's kind of
yeah,
a,
or July, basically
Yeah.
some opportunity where like, maybe we set up a set, just somewhere we can try to get folks, and it'd be later, like, where he can actually talk to folks, versus just
Okay.
coming to a regular meeting.
Sure,
okay,
Would it be
anything,
Jack or would it be the person that does the drive-bys too?
I would expect it to be Jack.
I was
Yeah, I
thinking
expect
Jack.
Jack. He's-
Okay, anything else under restrictive covenants?
Or is Jack still driving?
Jack does have a new driver.
Okay,
Yeah, he
Like-
does have a driver.
but he's directing them,
Yeah.
Okay, anything else under restrictive covenants? Then we're gonna move forward to finance and audit, number 12, report from Mac.
Did you have a comment?
I have a question
Okay,
on
go
one
ahead.
of the invoices, but if you'd like to go first, I'm happy to wait.
Either way.
The guard shack, this might be, if I'm jumping the gun, I'll stop, but the guard shack that was replaced, that invoice, does that invoice cover the weatherization and the insulation of the pipe?
Remind me, Lisa, this is twin,
Okay, so that's something completely different. The guard, I don't know what guard, so if you're talking about Apache pool, then that's not part of the insurance claim. The Tumlinson Pool Guard Shack, that's under an insurance claim, and I have a contractor that I have, coming out next week to give me a proposal to that.
Then I am,
So you're talking about Tumlinson, Apache
Apache.
Pool,
I'm talking about Tomlinson.
okay?
Maybe I miss,
So at
Understood.
Tumlinson, we did have the plumber come out, and he recommended that more insulation be added because there is none up there. When I bring in the new subcontractor to do the repairs there, I will have him add that at that time. The plumber does not do insulation.
Okay, I was sure there was one that said replace pipe because,
Yes, that's correct, that is the plumbing.
okay,
Yep, he did replace the
But he doesn't
pipe,
do the
that
insulation.
has been busted. The reasoning and cost for that is because although it was winterized, there's no insulation. So it doesn't matter how much you put on it.
okay, so as long as it's going to be insulated
Yes.
before we do, okay.
So my question would be real quick on that as well, it'd be like, what kind of insulation and how are we sure that it will prevent a freeze?
We'll do whatever rating we need to put out there.
I mean, do we know
Well,
though?
Can I raise an objection here to talk like,
Right.
since we're talking about the bills and invoices,
Right,
right?
stick to that.
Let's, because we can always discuss this further down in minutes,
Yes.
so we do need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, let's definitely stay focused.
Thank you.
Okay, so finance and audit, anything else?
Yes,
Um,
I'm sorry.
no, you're-
Please, I apologize, I jumped the gun again.
It's good. I just had those two supplementals that I passed out, nothing really out of the ordinary as far as checks go. Page 6 will be your current account balance page. If you flip to page 12, you'll see your tax deductions, you're about 97% collected through the month of February. And then your quarterly investment report is in there as well.
Okay, and no transfers?
Sorry, you did have your normal transfers, you had 2 transfers and no investments.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the bills and invoices and the 2 transfers and 0 investments?
I do have one question.
Let's do a motion, second, and then have discussion.
Sounds good.
So do I have a motion?
I'll motion, second.
Okay, discussion, Director Johnson.
The invoice for Twin Electric
Yes.
to put the supply a circuit for 2 floor boxes under the board table.
That will be done this weekend.
Okay,
But we're approving the check now?
Yes, because I don't even have to wait 30 days to get paid for something they're gonna do this weekend.
Okay.
Maybe we direct you to hold the check
We
until
will,
the work's
Mhm,
done.
that's the point,
Yeah.
yes, all checks will be held.
That's what you're asking.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
with other vendors, we've done that, so.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, and we talked because there are some that won't do the work until she has the check in
Until I have
hand,
the check
so
in hand.
okay.
there's
We just need to be consistent
gray
with that.
area, yeah, that's tricky.
Okay, so, let's get a vote. All in favor?
One more discussion, I have one more question.
Mhm.
So are we tying up all the cleanup for the freeze?
We are,
Do we have
yes.
it coded
I do have
specifically?
it coded separately.
Do we know how much it is right now?
I can tell you. That will be on page 7, and you've got about 126,000.
Great, thank you.
Is that up to date, Lisa? Or are we expecting any more invoices?
I would expect more, absolutely, we'll be getting in the creek, so, yeah.
There's
we'll
a
get some more stuff.
couple of things we're gonna discuss tonight. There's a couple more trees that need to come down, so.
Yeah, and this is only through the month of February as
Right.
well, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
March.
Yep. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's go to amenities. 14, winter storm considerations. Lisa, do you have anything to add on that?
I do not have anything at the moment, no, I do not.
Okay, Director Young? That's just under amenities, so, okay.
Everything.
Let's go ahead and go to report from Lifeguard for Hire. Tom, welcome. Do you have anything to report?
Not really, just want to say thank you to everybody for helping get the word out about hiring lifeguards. And just found out today, if anyone wants a full-time job, we're hiring a new cleaner.
Okay.
Full-time work, good pay,
Great.
benefits.
We'll help get the word out. Thank you.
That's it. So
Okay.
thank you, please thank you, your team, for helping Eric get the word. He couldn't be here tonight, so let me make sure I told you that.
All right, thank you. Number 16A.
Can I ask Tom a real quick question? So Tom, on the repairs that are going on in Apache, how are you adjusting the schedule? Are we working with Tom on adjusting the schedule? Did we shut down Apache Pool?
Tom doesn't have anything.
There's nothing going on, no swim team or anything? Okay.
It was during, spring break, so we've been good.
Okay. I just want to make sure that he's being communicated with. Okay, so you're aware of the work that was being done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
16A, priority landscapes. Hi, Trip. So we have proposal for tree removal on Susan Lane, right of way 2197. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion?
Yes, we are doing Susan Lane. Are these in the right of way?
That's what it says.
So the district doesn't have the authority to do Susan Lane?
We absolutely do. We did one a couple of months ago where Williamson County made us do it in front of the stop sign.
These are emergencies,
But
we
But they're
cannot
safety
wait.
issues.
But are these
They're
personal,
safe.
I mean, are these resident?
No,
property?
no, they're right away.
Oh, the right of way. For some reason I was thinking Susan Lane, so you're
Right
saying
away.
it's Blockhouse Drive and Susan Lane.
That's
Okay,
correct, yeah.
all right.
So.
Yeah, there's a map of all the different ones in the
Yeah,
packet.
take a look at your packet.
I keep taking on these trees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so I have all
I
in
must
favor.
have missed the motion,
Didn't I-
Did
yeah, I
you not
motioned.
make, David motioned, I don't know if you
I
said.
said motion.
So the proposal 2197?
Yes.
2197.
Okay.
We have a
I
second.
second.
Okay, sorry.
We had discussion and all were voting in favor.
Yep.
Okay, now we're moving on to B. Proposal 2198, sod at the north end of Walker House. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have discussion?
yes. So this is, where is this going? Right here?
North area is over, is this area out here. This has been pretty poor since the freezing 21, and we just haven't.
So we
It's a mud,
keep replacing
mud field.
sod,
It
but
is.
it keeps dying. Is there, I mean, like, when we've done it multiple times over here on the south end, so is there any measures that we can take to ensure that it will live?
I don't think any landscaping, there are extra measures you can take,
I'm
because anything
asking,
can happen.
but I'm asking him.
I mean, that we'll use shade tolerant grass, and we have St. Augustine in here. I mean, there's gonna be shade, it's probably gonna require a little less mowing just to keep the wear and tear off of it.
Is there a way that we can maybe raise the canopies and put more light on it?
I think they got raised quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, given the damage to the trees, it's probably worth seeing this will take less, there's a lot less canopy out there.
Yeah, naturally.
I'm hoping that,
Absolutely.
I didn't see any come out of that tree, but.
Okay, so any more
so
discussion?
No, if you don't mind, I'd like to finish.
That's what I
Thank
said,
you
any
very
more
much.
discussion?
No, I'm finishing.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Director Logan. So anyway, is there any other grass in areas that we need to replace around here?
Well, this area here, and then on the agenda is the area on the south side.
Okay.
Which is underneath here.
Okay.
But we don't have
There
a
are-
proposal for that right now.
Yeah, it's
So,
here.
okay, I gotcha, okay. Okay.
What's the other one? Okay.
Anything else, any more discussion?
No, there's
all I
not,
was gonna
Director Logan, I
say-
do not have any further.
I'm sorry, Trip.
All I was gonna say is there are other areas that are gonna be, I mean, the sod is not, any turf doesn't look great right now. So we're gonna do fertilization here in April and try and get it going, caught up. There's gonna be some areas that probably need patched along right away on Blockhouse Drive, so, but I didn't wanna push that yet.
Do we aerate it all?
We can aerate.
Have we ever done that?
We have the entry.
Maybe we can mulch it.
Yeah.
We could.
Okay, I want to stay focused, so, any more discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor of B for proposal 2198?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
Okay, no, not opposed.
no, not opposed.
Okay, it's passed. C, proposal 2199 for sod at the south end of the Walker House, which I think is what Cecilia is asking. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Same comments that I said before. It's just like, you know, we've replaced it about 5 times and it never
So
lives.
I have never replaced it, so I don't know when that was. I mean,
Lots.
it's been like this for quite a while.
I know.
Yeah,
Trip, how long have you been our landscaper?
off and on, but I think I started in 2007.
Okay, so you have never replaced this area?
I don't recall ever replacing it. Now, other companies might have.
Yeah.
It's been done, yeah. But my concern is this, we spend all this money and then it ends up dying within a few years. And so it's like, my comment, which is what my point was, is there something we can do to enhance and hopefully, you know, get the growth? Maybe it's, you're planting zoysia, maybe St. Augustine's not the right one.
Zoysia and St. Augustine are both, I put that, I was thinking of St. Augustine, but, I mean, Zoysia is very good in the shade.
So
Like I said, I mean, it'll be,
I'm gonna defer to you, but I'm just asking to please make sure that something can be there and it's fertilized or aerated or something that it will take and grow.
Okay, good point. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, thank you. D, proposal for Kumano Park tree data collection, proposal 2207. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that $20?
Discussion.
Is that $28?
Per tree.
Oh, per tree, okay. And we have 3, no more than 3.
So I saw that, but maybe I can get more information. It's just inventorying the trees.
It's a little bit more robust than just inventorying. Certified Arbor actually has a new application that allows for them to come in, get a lot of information on the trees, giving you the species of it and so forth, the age of it, the circumference of it, and it's also interactive for residents that live in the district. So they do need to come in and do it because of obviously the winter storm, but by giving them this additional $1, it'll allow for them to go in and populate their application that, again, will give us all this extra data. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so give us, I think what your question is, if I can comment, is this, do we have an estimate on how many trees at $28 a tree?
It's, I believe that one, I don't have that in front of me, but I believe down at the bottom it says.
Yeah, it's on the proposal.
It is.
It estimates
It says-
1,118 trees.
That's,
Where did I see, because I didn't see
Where is
that.
that?
It's right
I'm
under,
looking-
right there before the.
we're on D.
Yep.
That one's on.
2207 is the one, he doesn't know how many trees. 2208,
Two
the
and
next one
2208,
has like
Okay,
16.
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
Okay, and so if I see a little cedar tree that's 3 foot, is that counted as, like, where's the cutoff on?
I will have to ask for the power for exactly, but they're gonna be that, I don't think they're gonna go to that level,
Right.
Okay,
so. But I can get that answer for
Tree,
you.
it says trees 8 inches in diameter or greater. So there you go.
There you go.
okay.
Right, and then on the next one's $14 a tree.
Which, and it says about 1,100 trees, which would be about $15,000. So, oh wait, so let's go back.
So there's still no other
Yeah.
motion.
D, we had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion to, everyone in favor?
I
I
guess,
still wasn't finished yet.
yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I've got a
well,
little
she
bit of
jumped it,
concern
next
about,
one's in.
well, yeah, and it's like, we were trying to figure which proposal we're on, but like, I guess I've got a little bit of concern about what the cost might end up being on this, and not because you're doing a bad job on the SB here trip, just, and I guess, you know, I'm not trying to bleed to the next conversation, like,
Yeah.
I guess, just for mine, I think having, the other item, we'd have an idea what the work product would be, right, would it be what we get from it, right? And then, because I guess the other thing too is like, I think we need this done in Jumano, but also what the scope we're giving him, so like, maybe we could leave this part pending, and move on to talk more about the next one.
Mhm.
But just since there's, I mean, he needs a not to exceed total, but I don't
Yeah,
have a good handle on what the not to exceed would be, and I think once we saw something from them on this kind of thing, it'd give me a better handle, like, what we would need them to cover, because I feel like I don't even have a good handle, like, what we would want them to cover.
Right, no, that's a good point. So, okay, let's go ahead and put a pause on 2207. Let's move on to
So I'll
2208.
withdraw the motion.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can still
Discuss it?
discuss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've seen various maps of mono, sometimes it's just a little corner pocket park, and then sometimes it's everything on the other side. What about inventorying the trees inside the loop? Is that considered mono as well?
What?
Define mono as we're talking about it in this.
I always think of it as all.
The whole thing.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, all that. And then there's a lot of creek area in there that we may need to get in there as well. I'm sorry, inside the loop.
He means coming across Blockhouse.
Like the trail area in Greenbelt.
If
No,
I
it doesn't.
may, what I think we need to do is actually let them handle what, the trees that are already tagged. Germano is its own because we have not tagged trees out there,
Okay.
right?
Okay, that's
So
correct.
we have
then-
we have a whole different endeavor with Jumano specifically. This is going to be for all the trees that are currently tagged, that have probably been lost, and bringing those up to date. But Jumano does need to be taken care of, it's its own beast, I mean, we have to call it by
And so,
itself.
to be sure, 2208 addresses an existing tree survey that needs to be updated.
Yes.
And 2207 is just specific
A
to
new one.
Jumano,
Correct.
and
That's
that
why we
that
have
would
number.
blend
There
it.
you go.
Okay.
But
That
we're
makes sense.
talking massive trees over there.
Mm-hmm, massive.
I mean, I think the work may need to be done, I just,
Does.
we may have to, I mean, we probably have a better handle what we're getting in the cost on this.
So my comment would be this, I would hold off until the next budget year and you get a little better idea on what the total cost would be. And because we've spent so much money on cleanup, and I'm concerned that we're gonna go over budget on a lot of things. And I think this is probably a priority that's not that urgent right now, even though it's necessary at one point. I don't think it's that necessary now.
Well, we're going into budget items. We had an emergency, we had a thing, we dip into emergency fund. We also have the last board set a budget, and as long as we're staying within that budget, let's continue, let's not punt down the road. Let's get some results, let's find out how many trees we got that are 8 inches in girth and bigger.
Okay, let me make a recommendation that, we're gonna pause in 2207 because we do not know the number of trees.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and move to 2208, which we do know the number of trees, and it's going to be about 15,000, between 15 and 16,000.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve 2208?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion on this one? Which is $14.56 per tree for 1,118 trees,
And
around
this-
16,278.
And this will cover, Trip, all the trees not in the green belt, not in Jumano in the district, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I think that this is a bit more pressing, because since these are in right-of-way stuff, we've got trees that are down or damaged, like this.
Condition of trees.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I also think there's gonna be less trees, because there was a couple of them that were gone. So you've got
It
some
probably
trees
would
that
be
will.
less.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, great, so E, 2208 passed, we're gonna table 2207, let's get a better understanding of what we're looking at, and then we can bring that back, Chip, if you don't mind.
Yep, no
Thank
problem.
you. Okay, report from amenity subcommittee and related action, I don't think we really have anything to report. Okay, 18, upkeep on fences and blockhouse, Director Johnson.
Yes, and primarily, that is the language I use, but primarily I'm thinking about the entrance fences over here on block caps, over by Stepping Stone, needing to.
Isn't that a different item?
That's a different one.
It is actually duplicated, I saw that, it's in the 27s or 28s.
27C is,
27C.
yeah, so yeah, let's kind of combine those two, but go ahead and share us.
Well, that was just it, they need to be taken care of. I know we're doing a survey, and I know I've suggested punting some items until after the survey, but the fence either needs to be fixed or taken down, and I certainly don't think it should be taken down.
Yeah, so I talked to Lisa about that, and I'll let you talk about it in just a second, but Travis is willing to paint it and take care of it, but it has to be fixed. But why don't we just tear it down? Is there really a need for it to have it? And it's very costly to keep it up, so.
Can and I may be stepping in and may need to go into executive, but isn't there like, not eminent domain, but I mean, because that right of way really belongs to Wrong. I mean, the monuments belong to Wrong, and so I wonder if we not establish a boundary with that fence a little bit, and we've kind of taken possessive adverse possession, is that the right word we're looking for?
It's just, well, for one, this is an issue of first impression for me, I've never seen the fence.
Yeah.
I can drive past it.
I would like some clarity on which fence we're talking about.
The ugly green
The
fence.
green one with planks missing out in
Yeah.
front by the
Okay.
monument.
Because
It's
of
right behind the berms.
recent winter storms, I'm actually pretty up on my Texas fence law. If it is a true boundary fence, it provides for joint maintenance. So I'm happy to take a look at it, or we can work together on that between meetings. And I think the great thing is if y'all are ready to fix it, perhaps we can get some assistance in that.
Probably not with the owner.
Okay, so I wanna go around the room so we can keep this going. Director Young.
My thoughts are, it's not keeping wildlife in or out. It's not doing anything other than decorative. We're spending money. At some point, there's gonna be businesses that pop in there. We're not gonna need that indefinitely. If we spend however much money fixing it, and then businesses move in, it's not gonna make a whole lot of sense to even be there. They may even wanna have a driveway to go through it to access their businesses or whatever. I think it proved a valid purpose when there was nothing else on the roads, like, hey, here's the entrance to a community. I don't believe we need that anymore. I'm good with taking it down. It's on the other side of the tracks and.
Okay. Director Johnson.
I'm open to exploring that. My suggestion would be though, to ask Sean to, figure out whose fence it is and if it's a boundary line fence, like you said. And at the same time, figure out what the cost would be to fix it,
63,000
to fix it.
to fix it. I can take it down for 6,500.
Okay, well, we have that part at least, but let's figure out the fence. Sean, if you would figure that out and give us
What are options?
the options, yeah, that would be my suggestion before.
Thank you.
So-
Director Roberts.
So I think we need clarification on exactly how it does fit in the district's right of way and the easement agreement we have with the county. I also think aesthetically, it improves the entrance and it makes it look very like a nice neighborhood. When it was built, it really enhanced its entry, which is what the monuments do. And I also think that we do not want to mutually ask them, but we could if we wanted to. I think it's worth the value, but I think now it's gone to 63,000. We probably need to take out for proposals and get a bid on it.
Director Shoemaker.
It's hard for me to wanna spend, when we have other pressing needs, and like we just talked about, we're gonna have to inventory all the trees in the neighborhood to keep our internal neighborhood right of way properly tree planted, well maintained. I mean, when I saw this item on, I was gonna talk about fences around the loop as well, right, and other fences in our jurisdiction, because one thing I guess this may still fit in the agenda item, we would be like, what, I would like to see, we work with Lisa and our folks to try to get kind of a inventory of the worst places of all our fencing. So we can kind of start setting a priority list for, location. We probably can't get all of it at once, but to start attacking the worst pieces. But I think that with the cost disparity of at least 63 grand to fix it versus 6,500 to remove, I mean, I think we need to get outcome from Sean on your, because obviously if it creates problems for our easement, we may have to reconsider. But I would like to hear Sean's input, but I would lean more towards bringing it back next time with a look at removal, unless it adversely affects our boundaries. It's just hard to justify when, if we're gonna spend 60 grand, are they expected to spend it on repairing facilities internal to the mud?
Right. Okay, so I have not talked yet, so I'm just going to say, I'm not gonna repeat everything that you said, because you don't need to hear it 4 or 5 times, but I am in favor of taking it down, but I do want to hear from you. And so if you can come back in April and give us some insight, then we can make a decision then. And I know it's a sore spot with a lot of residents. I mean, I drive past it and it, infuriates me. If we want to put something out on the website or a newsletter, or whatever, saying, hey, we're looking at this, couple of different options, just so residents know that we are looking at it and trying to decide what's best. Okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, or maybe it's less of a question. Can we, so the minimum turnaround time on 3 proposals is what, 2 weeks? You can give them 2 weeks to respond?
I'll try, I gotta find
I'm
out
just
what it really.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, so I'm open to the idea of taking it down, but I do think that there is some aesthetic value to it, but not when it's like that. So my preference would be, if we can, at the next meeting, decide what we're gonna do, but that would require the 3 quotes for next time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, good point. Okay.
We've got 2 quotes right now, one for removing it. We have one for replacing it. What about looking into also mending it? And how long we would expect that to last, either, putting in, getting new paint, stuff like that.
I would have to ask Travis to go out there and, like I said, try and put a proposal together just at what cost would be from Lowe's and, painting things to that effect, so I have to work on that.
So maybe we could, I think that would add value to the discussion, mend it for the next year.
Isn't it over 25,000, we have to go over bids, go out for bids? Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Did you need something, Sean?
Yeah, between 25K and 75K, you've got to attempt to solicit 3 bids, and then once you get north of 75K, you've got to advertise it.
Yeah, publish it. Okay, thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and, that's gonna be tabled for the minutes, so you know that. And we'll discuss it, next month. 19, proposal from Dig Dug on repairs for, Apache Pool.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we have rebar that's exposed currently on the decking of the pool. That really is a hazard, so I am asking that we get approval on this today. Dig Dug can get us on their schedule for March the 27th and 8th. Yes, that would require me to shut it down. However, we would go in one day, remove everything, get new rebar, have the concrete poured, second day brush and have it ready to go. So it would only be down 2 days.
On the 28th?
On the 28th. Yeah,
Where
that's
is
a
there
Monday.
exposed rebar?
So we have it to near the, where they're diving in. There's areas there on the opposite side of the pool as well. You could see exposed rebar, and I wanna say, right before you get to
Before you come around the corner, where the pergola is at, there's also more rebar exposed also.
From the ground?
Yes.
From inside the concrete, but there's also divots in the concrete that are not exposing, the rebar as well, that needs to get paved over and textured.
Okay, so let's go around the table. Lisa, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, this is not a temporary fix, this is absolutely repairing it so that we don't have to come back later. This is not a floating project, this is the whole thing of going in and taking out those squares and then doing it.
And the amount is
$4,904.
which is pretty reasonable.
We
Okay.
have a motion to,
No. Do you have any more?
I thought we needed a motion.
Yes, you're right. Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, so Director Young,
I have nothing else to add right now.
Director Johnson,
No, I think it needs to be done.
Director
It needs
Roberts,
to be done.
Director Shoemaker. Okay, my concern is you're gonna do this on April 28th?
No, March.
Oh,
27th and 8th.
okay.
Like
I was,
next week.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, thank you, everyone. And number 20, showers at Apache. So I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
I brought this to y'all's attention. We have been having the same cleaning company out there for many years, and one of the items that they brought up is the way that we get the lime from the water is starting to expose the brick to a point that you can't clean it. It causes this really horrible film that the swimmers have to kind of deal with, especially whenever whatever that film is, the algae or buildup, the swimmers have to deal with that on their feet because it's a downward kind of scene. I would imagine so. So what I'd like to do is bring in some steel plating around that brick area, so that way we don't have to worry about that buildup in the future. And I've spoken with Genpro about it. They actually think that it would be a great idea for them to be able to keep it sanitary.
Okay, Director Young,
Nothing for me.
Director Johnson.
I'm sorry, I'm just having trouble visualizing. No, I guess not. No.
Dr. Roberts.
My concern is this, are we gonna overlay? So how are we gonna prevent the mold from growing behind it?
Oh, well, we'll make sure that it's all sealed. It's gonna be an overlay, but it's not just gonna be where there's an open exposed area. It will be completely
If
sealed.
moisture gets back there,
Right.
then you're gonna have a real problem.
Right, so that's what we're doing. We're actually sealing it in, and all the rust that's currently there, we're gonna have all of that removed, so it'll be a nice inset whenever the stainless steel goes in.
Okay.
Director Shoemaker?
No comments on this one.
So, there's not a slip issue or anything?
No, this is gonna be on the wall
Okay.
itself.
Okay.
3 panels on each one.
Okay, and when are we proposing to do this work?
We're actually gonna try and run everything congruently. We're looking at trying to work, either March 27th and 28th again, so we're gonna try and push
Okay.
everything.
So downtime will be limited.
ma'am.
Taylor, this has all been approved, like we have it within the budget?
I think Lisa and I already talked
I
about
have
this.
150,000 in my budget.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
right.
I'm always
The
going
work
to
to repair
assume that,
Apache?
but
Yeah.
I know that's part
Yeah,
of your due
her
diligence.
and I get together on a lot of that stuff, but if, feel free to ask me.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, so passed. 21, Dig Dug, signage at Humano, this is a signage that's disappeared, so do I have a motion to approve?
Can we discuss it?
Second.
We can discuss after we have
Yeah,
motions.
Okay.
So Cecilia motion,
I second.
second, okay. Lisa, do you want to discuss?
Yes, we have installed these signs before, and the last time we did it, we just used nuts and bolts. This time it's a tack weld. That way, so everybody has an opportunity to actually see the signs, and hopefully nobody's willing to go out there and, I don't know, bust a weld, but I've gotta try something. We already own the signs, I have them sitting, it's time to put them back out.
Okay, I'm gonna go around this way if you don't mind, Director Shoemaker.
So is this, so the post is, I was reading this, like, so the posts are there already, we just need,
They're
we're
already
gonna
there.
weld it to them, okay?
Yeah, the vandal was nice enough not to remove the post, just the sign.
That's what I was trying to get clarity on, like, they pulled it,
The disc golf sign, so people know that they're on fairway 3 and 4, and it gives them a trail of everything.
Yeah, maybe they're like collector's items, I don't know.
They're in the
Okay.
garages, hung up in the garages.
Yeah, okay, let's keep going around, Director Roberts.
I'm fine, I just think it's real excessive on cost, but, I mean, I think it needs to be done.
Okay, Director Johnson,
No comments.
Director Young.
I want this to be the last time we pay for these signs. We've paid for them several times. If they come down, let's go Wilco style, buy a boulder, put an iron rod
Yeah.
number on it and move on. Those are expensive signs. Nobody steals boulders,
Right.
and,
Well, you think.
Say that. That's what I was about to say. My thought was that somebody came with a vehicle and tied it and then drove off. That's what I was wondering what they did.
No, it's just the sign part.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make a quick comment that, I don't think we would be doing this if we didn't already own the signs and we didn't already have the stuff in place. So there's not a true cost except for just putting it back up. But I agree with everything that's been said. So all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, 22, Dig Dug proposal, installation of equipment gate at Apache Pool.
So this was a little bit harder to describe, but I'll do my best. At Apache Pool, where I think it's Leander High School, they have an outside a gated area. Along that fence line, towards the end of it, there is a panel of wrought iron fencing that I would like to actually make it a swing gate. And the reason for that is because at next budget, I plan on bringing back more items so that we can actually enhance and change Apache Pool. We need to work on the handicap. Right now, we still have an accessible handicap chair. No pools use those anymore. We need a sandy shore to allow for access for ADA.
Okay.
And so.
I messed up, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to get started.
Second? Okay, now you can finish.
So my purpose for bringing Dig Dug in now is because of the budget that I have right now and to have them out and already mobilized. So we're already gonna work on some other fencing items that are actually behind this proposal. And this was one of them that I wanted to go ahead and get done now. Again, this is going to be near the backside where the pergola is at. Go ahead, David, sorry.
No.
What you're gonna say first, I have a thought.
Well, so let's go around the table. Go ahead, Director Johnson.
So this is, northwest corner is not the gate by the shed.
That's not the gate by the shed.
It's the one by the bathroom.
It's actually, yeah, it's actually by the bathroom near Blockhouse Drive, so it's gonna be this.
By that
corner.
new gigantic pole.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The utility thing.
The big ugly.
So there's
With the cages?
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes,
opposite
yeah,
side of the
exactly.
cage, yes, ma'am.
okay, and so it's loose and moving, I didn't even know there was a gate there, to be honest with you.
There's not one, I'm trying to put one there so that way we can
thank you.
usually have that access, yes.
There's not a gate there,
And
I'm
actually, I
pretty
think the
sure.
fire department wanted us to have it in Crest.
Yeah.
Okay, and what, could you repeat why, now that I know what you're talking
That was
about?
like, it was gonna be my question, why do we need to spend $7,000?
So, we are going to have to redo that sandy shore where the pergola is at. Next year, this next fiscal year, we will be bringing a proposal in
Okay.
to remove the pergola and create a sandy shore. You can't bring in equipment from anywhere else around that decking. We have to have a gate that swings open in order to bring equipment in to do that work. So I'm trying to spread out my budget so that way I can already have the fence people that are gonna be working out there to go ahead and do this now. I can table it and bring it back in the new season, but we will have to do this again.
And so, and the sandy shore is required or preferred?
It's preferred because we are spending more money on the chairlift to keep it functioning. When it goes down, it costs anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 to fix it. And when it goes down, we don't know about it until a resident tries to use it and they have no way.
Right.
But,
Director Roberts.
yeah, so my comment is like, I think we're a little jumping, I hear what you're saying, the comment is reasonable, but I guess my thing is, how often is that chair used and how many handicap, I mean, because we're gonna have to do a huge major construction job to get a Sandy Beach entry.
We don't know how many times that chair's been used. What we do know is that in the last swim season, we had one resident that tried to go out there 7 different times. He's a veteran and was not able to use it, and Lifeguard for Hire did not have any information on it until they had to have it repaired. And the lifeguards weren't aware of how to utilize the chair to help the residents.
So to refix it, it's like $3,000 versus probably $100,000 to do a Sandy Beach entry.
You don't know how many people are using it, we really don't.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that we're spending a lot of money. My question is this, if we can continue just using the chair, and if we knew kind of, I hear what you're saying, because my neighbor was complaining it wasn't working, and it finally got, you said it was working, but, I can't. Okay. Yeah.
Director Shoemaker.
Yeah, I have, I guess, I appreciate the trying to spread the budget out, but I guess I'd rather reserve this money, here's why I'd rather reserve this next budget cycle. if we're gonna, I'd like to get some legal discussion from Sean about our ADA responsibilities for Apache, right? So we can, cause I get the idea of the state shore being preferred, but looking at what options we are, but I guess also, just for my own end, I'd like to have a better holistic picture of what we're planning to do with Apache, right? And I guess I'd rather, if we had to make a motion, I would not really want to approve this one or the other one that are for the fencing, but I'd like to set the money aside so that it's available. I don't want to lose the ability to the money, because I want to make sure we get the place fixed up, but I want to make sure we've got a big plan as far as all of it goes, right? Because obviously other stuff you mentioned, I think, is definitely in the category of stuff that has to be addressed, like the showers are not in good shape. I've seen that, and then the rebar sticking out. Because I think we need to work on the fencing, and I think we definitely, I mean, the problem, Director Roberts, is that with ADA compliance, if we have a legal duty to comply, it's expensive. And I get the point about the chair, but the problem is, my concern is, if the chair is inoperative long enough or frequently enough, I'm worried we could be sued. That someone could sue and say that we basically, I don't know if it's a due process claim or an ADA claim, but basically, we have a chair, but it's non-functional. We can't guarantee it's functional at any point. Therefore, we're violating. That's my concern, and then we would be out of control of what we have to do.
To be sure, I think we could cure that by testing it with some things. But, you know, to your point, from a global, more holistic perspective, let's consider all the options first.
Yes, I'd like to have a handle on that.
Okay, so I agree with everything I've heard. I think we should have a strategic plan on Apache Pool, and we can work on that and bring that up before the budget. And the one thing I want to make sure, I think we are compliant with, is the fire department did want to make sure that we had a couple of gates. And I know that Tom worked on the one, but let's just make sure that we still are compliant with what we have.
Yes.
Because they really were pushing us to have another gate kind of further back. So if everyone's okay, let's table this item.
I'm sorry, can I just one quick question about that? So that's the fire department, that's not Wilco inspecting,
That's
it's
correct.
a separate.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's several inspections.
Yes.
Wilco and then TML.
Actually,
Can I, sorry.
Yes.
Can I, so it might be good, because to all of these points, it might be good to have, the lifeguards don't know how to use it, that's not cool. And second, maybe every week or not every day, but every week they could test it.
Sure.
So that at least that way they're not, if somebody has to figure out that the chair's not working, it's not while they're sitting on it.
Right.
Absolutely should be on the checklist.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would at least.
Just like their CPR stuff.
Sure.
You know, that all should be
Right.
checked, not just like, oh, it's not working.
Right.
When you need it to
Yes.
work.
Right.
Okay, I think I messed up, because this was all discussion on 24.
Well, I think 22 and 20,
22 and
because I was really
Okay.
more about 22, because it was part of 24, so we can talk about 20, I can make a motion to talk about 24, so we can pin that as well if you'd like.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and table 24 and 22, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then 23 is the installation of the turf around the tree.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
The turf around the tree, the punchy.
I guess
Oh,
motion.
Second?
yeah, good for you.
Second.
Cecilia, second. Okay, discussion? Lisa, you want to start?
Yes, this tree in particular and all of the debris that it actually drops ends up in the pool. And this is actually a function, that's causing an issue for what am I thinking of, the filters. So we thought that it would be best to go ahead and just turf this area, because kids always have a tendency to run out, step on that grass, bring it back in, and so it's causing filters. That's the only area that we noticed, because it's actually the closest to the pool itself.
Okay, so where are we talking?
Yes, that was gonna be my question. Which
So-
tree?
It's right where the Tidal Waves logo is at on the ground.
The inside of the
It's,
gate.
yes, inside the gate, it's directly to the right.
In the well.
Yes.
Where the,
You got 3 benches around
It
it.
used to be
around.
but now it's got benches around.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
That makes sense.
Okay, Director Young,
No comments.
Director Johnson?
No comments now?
I understand that.
No comments.
Okay, so my only thought is, we may want to think about, because there's that other tree to the left that does have a well that has a bunch of rocks, and kids go and throw those rocks around, and I've yelled at many kids during swim meets and such.
So I know it's not on the agenda, but maybe look at that, because if we're gonna do one this way, might as well just kind of match it.
Well, if we can modify this proposal, then I could actually go ahead and have it done while they're already mobilized out there.
I'm gonna amend the motion to add the other one and not to exceed whatever the double price is.
8,000.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Wonderful, okay, now we're moving along. Services, a report from Gray Engineering, so unfortunately.
Actually, I have one item left. Did
Oh,
we
did
ta- did we table the ADA one as well? Is that
Yes.
what-
Yeah.
Yes, you
Okay,
did.
yeah,
22
yeah,
and
got it.
24.
Sorry about that.
No problem, okay, good.
Okay, so services, David Gray is under the weather, but he really didn't have anything to report right now. He caught up, I think, with Sean or Lisa on our special meeting, so nothing to report right now. Okay. 26, Crossroads.
Yes, you can find my report behind tab 26. Your water loss is coming in at 9.03%. That's quite high for me. So what I'd like to do is monitor it March and April. And if it doesn't come out of the 9% range, I'd like to bring in James Shealy, who's our leak detection guy. I brought him in 7 years ago. We've done great. Something's amiss. So
Well,
we need to.
probably the shift in the ground.
It very
from the
well
hot and
could.
cold and-
Yes, ma'am, and I have seen, we've dealt with a little bit of irrigation issue out here in Tomlinson, so we did have a small break. Let me see if these are gonna settle, if not, I'm gonna bring that back to you guys. Moving on, as far as, I don't have any write-offs to report, and the only item that I will have in operations is gonna be from Blue Ribbon Cooling. So I had a mini split installed at the ground storage tank a couple of years ago, and it was a mini split that's more of a commercial use, inside of more of a smaller area, but not not inside a pump room like this one. So I was talking with Blue Ribbon, and the one that they recommend is actually the Daikin. Those things are on a 5-year warranty. They're better suited for what we're needing it for out here at the ground storage tank. It does help during the summer and winter time with those pumps that are in there. So I recommend a replacement of it, and that replacement's gonna be $5,160.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the Blue Ribbon
Motion.
proposal? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, Director Shoemaker.
So is the pump, is the one we're replacing, is it dead? Is it working? Is it just end of life? Like where was the existing thing?
So the motherboards blew out on, and I say on them because I purchased 3,
Mhm.
and 2 of them, the motherboards blew out. And now with this whole fiasco of trying to get them overseas, it's actually costing more to repair it than to replace it.
What was the last repair quote? How bad did it?
3,000 and change, and when they came out here to try and replace it, they found out that the compressor had also gone out. So then it's becoming one item after the other, so.
And
it's a
how old?
snowball.
It's 7 years, you said? Yeah, it's.
Yeah, well, this has only been 2 years from the last one that was purchased, so this new one is gonna have a better warranty.
Better warranty,
Mhm, and it's industrial, so.
Is the other one a 2-year warranty?
It was a 1-year warranty through, Cosell.
Okay.
Mhm.
Director Roberts, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I know, just a note, does say there's a 12-year manufacturer warranty.
Yes.
And there's a 5-year parts warranty.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's good.
Mhm.
Do we have to register those warranties?
Blue Ribbon actually helps us take care of all of that.
I just want to confirm that that is
Sure.
done.
Mhm.
All right, I have no other questions.
Director Johnson,
No comments.
Director Young.
No comments.
Okay, I just wanna say that if we have this database maintenance, it would be great to answer some of these questions and put this in there.
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so there's no write-offs. Let's go ahead and move to general manager.
So my report is in the packet. Everything that we've actually been discussing is there now. I don't have any extra items to go over with you all unless you have questions for me.
Okay, so we covered C and we covered B and then, so let's go to 27B.
27B.
The B, G, and E proposal, which is,
Asset management.
yeah, which we had a presentation, and the amount of the proposal is 118 with a 6,000 annual maintenance fee. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion.
Robert, I'll second.
Okay, and let's do discussion, Director Young.
I can't think of a reason I'd rather have this yesterday than today. I'm behind this, absolutely necessary.
Okay, Director Johnson.
No comments or questions.
Director Roberts.
I just don't think it's necessary for the size of the district. I think that it's gonna take as much time for our staff to give the information to them that it would be to put into an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Director Shoemaker.
I think at the end of the day, we're gonna have to do this. We've got too many old assets. We have too much stuff we're gonna track. My only concern is with respect to the budget for this year, right? Where we are, I don't know, Taylor, like, what item would this come out of? Like, where is this coming from? That's my big thing, like,
It's really like engineering, right? Yeah.
hey, what do we have budgeted for that for the year?
For engineering, we have, I know a special one added too. We obviously were not anticipating this when we were setting the engineering budget. We had 40,000 for general engineering and 27,000 for special. We have not touched the special bucket yet.
What do we have left? What was remaining here? Is that in our packet? I can look at it too while we're talking about this. Taylor, what page is it?
Page 8.
We have $500,000 sitting up for the GST that we're actually not gonna touch this year.
Okay.
So that would allow for us to move some dollars around from that budget to that, and then look for funds for the GST, and that's, we can talk about it in 2024, but even David Gray mentioned at the last couple of meetings that we could even push it to 25. So
GST.
Yeah, the GST, so we definitely
Yeah,
have
no,
dollars there.
I mean, I think that, I wanna do this, but I guess I would kinda like to put this in with the GST discussion as we work into the budget, right? I wanna keep this moving, right? But I think, I guess that's the thing, Taylor, is that's my thing, is like, I wanna make sure we've got this somewhere in the budget or not, because the only thing I guess I have a little heartburn too is like, where we finally come in on our storm cleanup costs, right? Because like, I think this needs to be done. I just wanna have a little better clarity on where some of our other unexpended balances and costs are. And I guess since I know it's, March, but we're gonna be considering budget starting in August, right? I don't totally like putting it off, but once we get a better handle on storm costs, we maybe bring this back up, so we can know, like, because I guess I don't know how much, we're already, Taylor, where are we on storm costs already?
126,000.
And that's my thing, is like, I don't know where that's gonna ultimately end up, like, it could end up being this big, and then we're dipping into the GST fund to do that. But I guess, like, maybe we can can we bring this back up when we have a little more handle next month or the month after on our storm costs? Because I wanna do it, but I just wanna get a better handle.
Okay, so I haven't had a chance to speak yet. So, I think there are some special projects that we have not spent any money on. I know we have reserves, and I know we have that 500,000, so I know we do have it in the budget. I do understand your concern with knowing how much the water cleanup is. My concern is, I think we need to do this. We're way far behind. We're like doing pencils and paper when we need to get with the 21st century and 22nd century, whatever we are. It is going to save money and time for our GM and her staff and for our consultants, and we are way delayed on this. So there is a motion on the table.
Can I ask a follow-up question of Taylor then? You mentioned, Director Logan mentioned we have money in the special projects, you said. Taylor, what is the amount on that?
So that's gonna be like the bottom half of page 8.
Page 8, okay.
99,000.
The end of it.
Yeah, so you had I shouldn't say the previous board put in like 250,000 for right-of-way improvements, which we haven't touched yet.
This would come from that entirely.
If there's plans to do anything with that, but that was a big ticket item, obviously. And then obviously the GST as well.
So I would actually, Taylor, that's actually good. This is what I want to go through, is like, we may want to do, at these bigger items, we want to kind of bring up where we think of in the budget, but honestly, like, we could pull this out of that, because that, at this point, I think we need to do work on our fences and stuff, right? But we need to have a punch list, we got some time, we can break those up in smaller chunks, right? But this is a big time. I don't know if we can amend the motion or make a motion, but I would think we could pull out our right-of-way improvements, because we could cover it. That's not something we're planning to do at this point, and that way we're not having to touch money for the GST Or on our
Okay,
reserve funds.
so I'm gonna go around the table one more time, because I know everyone probably wants to add, some more comments, and Sean wants
If I
to.
just, so with the GST, this is the work that David is saying, he doesn't even want to bid it into the winter, he wants to bid it in September to do it later, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be in the next fiscal year.
Absolutely.
And you've allocated money, you could in theory carry that over.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then we wouldn't have to rebudget it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my final thoughts on this, and I'm not gonna repeat myself, and I'm gonna ask every director not to repeat their points they've already made, but please put something in that's new that we can consider. And my point is, we are looking at some things like with the pools and some other, even with the fences, and I think it'd be great to have the system in place so we can start putting this information in there and utilizing it. Director Young.
So I think we're facing two questions. Are we gonna move forward with this? And how are we gonna pay for it? I don't know that discussing how we're gonna pay for it makes sense until we've agreed and we voted, like, are we going to do it? And then after we agree or disagree, we can either drop the discussion if we're not gonna move forward. And then if we have agreed that we're going to be doing it, then we start figuring out how to budget it. But I think for today, I'd like to just focus on voting on, are we gonna move forward with this now, or?
And that was the motion, is are we going to approve it or not?
And then we can figure out how we're gonna pay for it, even if we have to wait until next budget year to go for it.
Director Johnson.
I don't have anything new to add.
Okay, Director Roberts, do you have anything new to add?
Yes, there's gonna be additional costs besides the 6,000, because David Gray is going to probably, charge for all the information that he's gonna be giving, and by the way, he can manage the fire hydrants and water valves, I mean, he's already told me that. This is not something that needs to be in there, we already have a book, and it's, you know, I basically rely on him for a lot of his professional services. I think this is unnecessary when there's other priorities that we need to focus on. We are small enough, and I get some of the concern you have, but I'm very concerned that we're spending taxpayers' money when it's not that necessary at this time.
Okay, Director Shoemaker.
I guess the only last question I've got, besides, I think I'll reiterate, I would use the right-of-way money to pay for it, but Lisa's a question for you. Everything in the neighborhood, right, from the ground storage tanks, everything, it's like the whole 9 yards is gonna be covered, right?
Yes.
Every
Air
asset.
conditioner, everything, that's what I wanted, yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and vote, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, so carried. The next item, so we're under.
Did I hear you vote?
Yeah, I said aye. I was the first one to vote.
Okay.
Hey, so, under general manager, I need to share a couple of thoughts here. And, we've had residents come in and take up time with, Amy and Lisa, and we have told them, or we directed you to say, please do not come into, the office anymore, please email me, so that we're protecting your time. And I want to carry that forward to contractors and directors. We do not need to be calling Lisa and Amy. If you call them and you have an issue you want to talk to them about, let Amy, I have directed Amy and Lisa to say, this is, I want to talk to you, let's schedule a meeting for 30 minutes. Let's get whatever subcommittee, if needed, member in here, but we do not need to call Amy or Lisa and just vent, talk about other directors. They are so busy right now, and they need to spend all their time working. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we do not take away from their time.
So if we wanna call up and they're busy, they could say, let's set an appointment.
Mhm.
And then, like, maybe follow up, if I need to talk about 3 things, then I send an email, like, we're gonna talk about these 3 things. Then we schedule however much time is necessary. We bring in the other director that might be on the subcommittee, and then we move forward.
I think that would work. Would that help you all?
Yes, that would also allow for Amy and I to stay focused from a memo perspective. Anything we're talking with you guys about, we want to make sure we have it documented so we can reference it later. We're probably going to have conversations about it and we can show where that topic derived from. So we really do want to be able to have that type of process moving forward.
Yeah, I know personally in my work environment, I get people calling me all the time, and I prefer them to hit me on Teams so I have a recording of it, I've got it written, email. And I think we need to respect their time, so let's refrain from calling them, refrain from calling Amy. And especially, let's not talk negatively about other directors. We are a team here. We are all working together. We're gonna get a lot of great things done in the next 2 years. So, are there any questions, or are we all on the same page with this?
I only communicate with Lisa by email anyway.
Thank you.
Nothing changes there.
I rarely call, so.
What?
I rarely call.
Well, actually, I mean, I think you do, and I think that that's why I'm bringing it up. So,
I've heard Robert's in the office 2 or 3 times a week.
okay, so let's talk about this for a second,
Yeah,
because I
let's
do
do.
know that you're calling and telling them, why is Robert here? Why was Ursula
No, I
here?
didn't say that, they volunteered it. And the other thing is, I very rarely ever call, isn't that true?
I've spoken to Amy and she actually has been getting phone calls and so.
One call this
I-
week.
A couple times
And
a
it was
week.
reporting a situation in the parking lot.
Yeah, it helps when we get emails about everything, so that way we can.
And I
get
do
that
email
answered.
you.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna allow you to target me when I know Robert's in there 2 or 3 times a
I'm
week.
talking about everyone, and if Robert's in here, Lisa and Amy have maybe called them in here. I know that you
That's
you
not
asked,
what
you
I'm
asked,
saying.
why was I here all day on a Friday when I was here for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon for a meeting? So we don't need to like watch each other.
You know, and I'm
You
an
know.
elected position. I can call her and talk to her anytime I want to.
I know
Any
you
of
can.
Robert can go in if he wants to 5 days a week. You work for us.
And
Okay.
they can set a meeting and say
Yeah.
they gotta get back to work
So
because there are
what-
4 other directors.
What
that
we're trying to
want their
do
attention.
is be efficient.
I understand that,
Okay.
and I don't think I'm being inefficient.
Okay, so
And I
they
will not
have
be
approached
targeted.
me, you're not being targeted, I'm
I
talking
was.
to everyone. No, you're not, Cecilia, it's not personal.
You just said that.
I gave an example,
I know,
yes.
because you seem to always find fault with Cecilia.
No, Cecilia, that's not what this is
And I don't
about.
appreciate the fact that when I call, that it's being reported to you, because you must be asking them if I've called you.
Have I ever asked you that?
No,
So you're volunteering.
We're not giving any
How many times
information.
I've talked to them?
We're not giving.
Cecilia,
information to
Director Roberts, the GM came to me and said, can you please put this in place so that they can run
So how did you know?
efficiently? She asked me.
I understand that, and I'll deal with that separately, because I'm not feeling very good about the person we have sitting in the GM position right now.
Well, okay, so let's
Okay
take
with
this
that.
another step
I know you
back.
are.
that.
Wait, let's take another step back. We are not gonna have any retaliation, that's
There's no
part of our code of
retaliation at all. I
conduct.
just made a statement.
All I'm asking is that we respect their time, and I'm trying to put some procedures in place so that they can get stuff done, and if you have a question, or you wanna talk to her, or you wanna talk to her, and they're busy, if Amy's busy, she can just say, hey, let's schedule 30 minutes, let's plan it, when it's good for you. You do it to me if I call you, and then it's all set, but I'm
They
asking
work
for a
the
procedure.
district, and we are
Cecilia,
their
we
bosses,
understand that.
okay? If I wanna talk to them, if I wanna call Sean, I wanna call Robert, I can. There's nothing you can say that tells me I can't do it.
What we wanna do is have an efficient way of
I
doing
understand that, and I
things.
think I am efficient. I rarely
Okay.
ever call them.
Okay. You
I'm
could-
just a little upset about it.
I'm okay with you
I
calling
understand
her
Thank
every
you.
15 minutes, but I'm also okay with her not answering and,
That's
and
fine.
saying, send an email, and then you guys schedule some time together.
I have no problem with that.
And that's precisely why I email, because generally anything I'm coming about, I know there's not time sensitivity,
Yeah.
or try to make sure it's not time sensitive.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to make sure our staff feels empowered. And this goes for Sean or Terry, anybody else, that, you know, obviously, we are not, actually, Lisa is kind of, we're our only client for her, but they have day-to-day duties that have to be dealt with, and we need to make sure that, because we pay them to do those duties as well, that they are still accomplishing those duties.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I respect that, because I have 95 agents under me, and I get the day-to-day operations and the tug and pulls. But I can tell you this, there was one point that I was being thanked for bringing a lot of things to their attention, because it made them look like a better person. And so I'm like, you're trying to help, and now you get burned on it? I mean, come on. It's
I'm really
ridiculous.
curious as to how many times, well, I mean, what's your
I
log
don't
on
know.
my attendance at coming in here? And, you know, like, what do I need to justify if I'm bringing a monitor in or picking up a key or something like
It was
that?
a comment made to me, is what it was from the staff.
That Robert comes up here frequently. Okay,
In a
was it
general
ever
conversation.
uninvited, or was it
No,
ever?
it wasn't anything like that at all, but it was just made to me by the staff. So, you know, I mean, it's just to a level that we've gotten so many restrictions that we can't even feel comfortable with what we're doing because there's such paranoia.
I think it's important that you go ahead and call all you want, and the office can ignore it as much as they want, and then if you've got a problem with that,
Well,
bring
they
it to a
can't
meeting
ignore it.
and we'll figure it out.
They
Well,
can't ignore it. They can't ignore you, Robert. They can't ignore you, David, and they can't ignore you, David, and they Ursula
they,
can't ignore you.
they definitely could.
Well, they could, but it's not a good thing.
Okay, so we're losing focus now. So I have shared what I think is a procedure that we need to have in place. I've been asked Lisa and Amy to, when they get calls, and if they are busy, they can say, let's schedule time, and you can set time aside when you guys are available, okay? And I'm going to ask all of us to, we're not calling to vent, we're calling for real constructive,
Let's just move on.
Okay, so
We have only one person running this meeting right now.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to share. I appreciate you all listening and understanding. We're gonna go to 28, Texas disposal systems. Do we have anything to report on that? Okay. 29, stormwater management program. We have MS4 Phase 2, the annual report in there, and then the proposal from Crossroads. So Sean, do you want to speak to that?
I'm happy to jump in here. So, Liquidity Engineering undertakes y'all's annual MS4 report, and so we got an overview of this, the actions that were necessary last month, and which precipitated the report from Crossroads that we'll get to here. But this is the report that actually needs to be filed with the TCEQ, so it's in your packet. I think I heard you talking a little bit about it, right? And so this is just a general overview of what is required as you guys have your own MS4. So this is we can walk through it, but I know everybody probably took a look at it in their packet. This looks, it's generally just a report for stormwater considerations that's required to be filed with the TCEQ. Goes through, tracks all sorts of different, not only observations within the district, but also stuff that y'all have done to increase visibility, training, etc. And it's pretty consistent with the reports that they put together for you guys for the past couple of years.
Okay, so I have one question, and that is, this is a 5-year? Okay, we're on our 5th year?
This says permit year 4.
4, so
Yeah.
we're going into our 5th year. And I think Shoemaker or Johnson, one of y'all brought up that it hasn't been approved yet, but TCEQ is behind on it. So my question is, and I've tried to research it, I did take the training. I don't know if anyone else did, but I highly encourage you to take the training. It's like maybe an hour long. It's pretty interesting. It's important for the water, and it's important for what we do. But once we get to the 5th year, do we reapply for another 5 year? I'm not sure, like, does a permit expire, or?
I think the whole thing starts again.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you. So are there any other questions on this? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve this annual report? And if you haven't read it, please take time to read it, because there's actually some interesting information in there.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 29B, Crossroads proposal for clean out of inlets and outfalls, and that's part of the MS4. Yeah.
So item 29A was an informational. Did we change it to decision?
I thought we had to
Yes.
approve that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's correct, and I did notice that earlier today, so thank you for bringing it up, Cecilia.
Yeah, good. Yeah, okay, you have a motion to approve Crossroads Utility for the clean out of the inlets and outfalls.
Approved.
A motion?
No, motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, discussion, go ahead.
Yes, this is just gonna suffice the items that are in the liquidity report, coming in at 16,171.58.
Okay.
Can I get a really quick summary on what's going on here?
So basically, in the liquidity report, there are inlets and outlets that actually have too much debris in them, though that debris needs to be removed in order to keep us in compliance. Crossroads will come in, we'll bring in a couple of crews, and then they'll go into all the inlets and outlets and remove that debris.
Okay, I thought we typically went with Priority Landscape for removing brush and stuff
No,
like
this
that.
is actually in the inlets. This is like, along the sidewalk, and you have the inlet, you know.
Storm drains.
Storm
Okay.
drains.
And so it can be waste, it can be yard waste, it can be skateboards, it can be
A dead
Coke
cat.
cans, yeah, a variety.
So they have gone in and they have actually taken pictures, so you can see what's in there. And this is part of our communications, is that we need to educate residents. Don't blow your leaves in there, don't
Yeah.
put your paint, your gasoline, whatever's down there. Yeah, and that was part of our permitting process. So it's, again, if y'all can, go back and read that, because it's fairly interesting.
That was in the last board book,
Mhm,
correct? Okay.
mhm, exactly. Okay, so, all in favor? Or, I'm sorry, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, 30, Service Subcommittee, District Routine. I don't know who wants to speak on that? Or,
There's nothing in the packet.
So I think this was the continuation of
Was
the
it the breakout?
Jumano Gate, so if you wanna, I think the rekeying came up in the context of the Jumano Gate.
Yes, so we actually do have, not the Germano Gate, but we actually have a couple of other, padlocks and things that we have found that during the initial rekeying back in July, they have been missed. So Coffiners will actually be out here on Monday and they will be rekeying those areas. We have what we call an A key, that'll be going away and everything will be mastered. So those few items will be.
will they
taken.
match our current master?
Yes, ma'am, they will.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't need to prove anything? Are there any questions? Okay. Tomlinson Pool Guard Shack and restroom repairs.
So that I'm bringing back the contractor next week. I hope to get that approved.
So do you need a motion?
I need a motion for
Okay,
it. I have
good.
insurance money for it.
Trinity AV Solutions, district access to control and upgrades and additions.
So I've been working with Mike McKelvey, we're actually on schedule, we've got everything going, I'll discuss with Sean, after this board meeting, so that way he and I can come up together.
Okay. Great. Legal report from Armhurst and Brown.
All right, so behind 31, we have our objectives here. 31, working with Deputy Lovato to bring a new deputy on. Social media policy is in the packet tonight for your consideration, and I think all of the other objectives are done. Let's see if I have anything else. I don't think I have anything else in my report tonight. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
So one thing, I don't know if y'all remember the last meeting, and my directive to Sean was, we are going to vote on the park rules. I was pretty adamant about that. And Sean and I talked last week, and I realized that we just didn't have all the information in front of us, and we weren't ready to vote. So I kind of looked like a fool, because I was like, we're gonna vote on it. But I do want to tell you that that was part of your directives, but I said, okay, let's pause on that. But I put together a PowerPoint, which is just kind of a summary of what the changes are, why the changes, and a matrix and some information. So I'm really trying to simplify it so we can look at it and say, yeah, this makes sense, no, this doesn't make sense, let's tweak here, let's tweak there. Because to look at the red line and the clean is still just crazy. I mean, looking at contracts and stuff, it's nuts. So I'm trying to simplify it. We're working on it a little bit. That will be back in the April meeting. Okay, just in case anyone's wondering why Sean didn't bring that up.
Well, I think if we bring that up, we should have to make sure Deputy Lovato or one of the deputies, that's gonna be a key part, is discussing how various laws are enforced, so.
So, one quick question. If we remove illegal substances from the park rules, is it still illegal to use
It's not on the agenda.
drugs?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
That's why I was putting that placeholder, because it was just so you can have that broader discussion.
But I was just trying to explain why that
Yes.
wasn't under his thing, so thank you.
All right.
Okay, so 33, general manager services agreement.
What am I on a date?
What do I?
I'm on a
Yeah,
date.
Oh, I'm sorry,
32,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, I turned my page too soon. Okay, Kimano Gate. Lisa.
We need to come up with an idea of how we want to function with Humano Gate. Is this going to be something that we are going to be closing? And the reason I'm asking is because the garden plot is behind Humano Gate, and we do have gardeners that like to go out there even in the evening time. We do provide them lighting, so we're coming into a conflict here, almost like with Tomlinson, where you have sports courts till 10, but everything else at dusk. We have that issue out there as well. And I really want to enable the gardeners. We've got a great group of people that are wanting to be out there, but we can't lock them in.
Again,
We blocked it.
Deputy Lovato, can you talk a bit about how y'all been working that and what y'all been interacting? Just give some background, what y'all been doing.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing that it's actually open past dusk. So
Okay.
I'm guessing before in the past, there was a combination lock that they had access to, that they could go out, open it up whenever they needed to go in there. So that's why it was never really an issue for us, because they could go in and out because they had the combination to get it. now? I guess you guys took the combination lock off or away?
We didn't, we are working through that to
Okay.
try and find out what the best solution is. So we definitely can add one back and have the residents, move through the area in that form, if you all would like, until we come up with another idea. But I think that would be the best for us to put a combination for the garden people, so that way they can definitely access as needed. And know that and your deputies to know, if they do see a car back there, obviously what we recommend is for them to close the gate, not to be alarmed. More than likely, they are working in their garden.
Yeah.
And so I think they might be a little alarmed and afraid too, I know y'all are each patrolling, but just something that we can maybe even put a news blast out on to help people and residents understand that.
And until that time, if you want, I can just tell them, don't lock Jamon Park gate, just go in there. If there is a vehicle there, try to see if it's somebody that's working in the gardens. If not, if they're not in the garden, then obviously they're not supposed to be back there. Have the vehicle towed, try to find them in the disc golf park.
I think for the time being, if we direct them, like, once the mulch gets picked up, if they park right by the entrance gate, and then, that's when the officer can go back there, there's a car, there's the person, match them up, move on, right?
Yeah.
Whereas disc golfers wanna park closer to T1, different things like that, so, I think moving forward, if we can designate parking near the gate there, and then maybe, once the mulch is gone, designate, hey, disc golfers park in this area or that area.
You'll have to tell me which area that is, because I'm confused now.
Yeah, so let's work on that, on the community garden, and then come back and, share with the board.
In the past, the question has been asked about the necessity of that front gate. I don't know if y'all wanna have that conversation or not, but I just know it's come up in the past. I know there's been some concern
the
about illegal dumping.
Well, I guess I'd like to ask the deputies, do y'all routinely, when that front gate is locked, do y'all unlock it and drive back there to check, just to be sure? What is y'all's current procedure, past procedure for how y'all handle checking Jumano after dark? Because hey, the gate's locked, no one's obviously back there, that's good, y'all.
Usually we would, in the past, we would just park and then walk back there.
Okay, so y'all walk it on foot, okay.
Which is good.
And you asked
Yeah, I'm
about
trying to think through how it
You asked
works.
about the gate, so the reason the second one was put in, because there was a lot of illegal dumping, couches and things were going back there, and so it was to allow the disc golfers to park in those areas before the second gate, and then it didn't allow the dumping. Because, you're gonna get it, people are gonna dump couches and mattresses, and then the district has to have somebody pay somebody to pick them up.
Yeah, okay, all right, we'll come up with a plan, we'll share with share an idea, and then you guys give us
So at
ideas.
this time, don't lock them in, just have the deputies go back there and check.
Go ahead and lock the second, leave the first gate, go ahead and lock the second gate, and we
Okay.
will put a combo for our gardeners, just for them to be aware that if they do see somebody back there with the gate locked, it's because they're probably a gardener.
Cool.
And the gardeners will be aware that.
Yes, we will
Yeah,
make them, yes.
Yeah, you'll
absolutely.
communicate that with them, okay, because we did have a gardener that got locked in.
But I think that was because
It wasn't Wilco.
it was the contractors coming and going, and I
Yeah.
think they were under the understanding that we got locked when we leave. And I'd open it up knowing that those guys will be by later on to lock it up.
Actually, they got locked in because of me. I gave direction to a contractor to go ahead and lock it, and that's how that all
She
started.
was okay, she was
Is
fine.
there like a phone number to call on the gate if they do get locked in? Like, is there an emergency? There should be. We used
They
to
usually
have.
call the sheriff's office and ask if one of us is
Help.
working to go unlock them.
Oh, wow, okay. Can we put a crossroad emergency number there, Lisa? Because, you should be able to answer those calls at night.
I would never.
I would not ask you to come out at 10, or
Absolutely not.
8 o'clock at night.
No,
If they're locked,
Phone
somebody's
number
gonna
there.
take care of it.
No, I would prefer for them to reach out to the sheriff's department and not me.
But if
I
they
live
don't
in
have
Round
a
Rock.
deputy
How am I
on the
gonna-
call, who's gonna unlock it?
How am I gonna unlock it from Round Rock?
Would it
Get in
be
the car and
helpful?
drive.
No, I
Well,
would not ask her to do
And
that.
I guess the other thing I would have some concern is obviously,
No, it's not.
if someone is back there, we assume they're generally on the up and up, right? But if someone is not on the up and up, but they got back, they got their car locked in, I guess my other thing is, I guess I'd kinda like the deputies kind of check that person too, because they're probably okay, but if someone was doing something wrong and just messed up, then I would want them to be able to get out and you guys not be aware, so is there perhaps a non-emergency number? We don't want them tying up 911, but the way they can get in contact with y'all where, that way y'all can also kind of verify that this person was, you know, in the garden, or, oh, they were up to something and.
There is a non-emergency number that they can call. The only thing is, if they get a sheriff's deputy that's not working for the MUD, and technically, even if they do work for the MUD, but they're being employed by the sheriff's office, we cannot perform MUD duties while working for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
So you run into, nobody's there to open it with the key. So it's either gonna be one of us board members.
So,
Well, it has been.
so the only reason somebody should be locked in there is if they're going to lock it and they verify that they have the combo and their gardeners. Everybody else should not be getting locked in there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we handle it. Okay, let's move on. Number 33 is the amended and restated general management services agreement. So we talked about this last month a little bit. I don't know if we're quite ready to have this discussion, and I want Andrew here. But currently Lisa is responsible for 4 or 5 districts? 5. And I want us to look at looking at our contract and having her 100% for Blockhouse as opposed to the other districts. And so what I'm going to ask Andrew to do is take that contract and redline it, and so we can see what it looks like. And then we can have a discussion on that. Okay? Any questions? Okay, other discussions, guidelines for attaching emails to meeting minutes. And this came in because we're starting to get more and more emails from residents. Let's just go around. Shoemaker, do you have an opinion whether it should be, or should I ask you, Sean?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to do Sean's opinion first. He's got to do it.
I think it's pretty common for local governments to get emails. I think my recommendation would be for the GM to read emails, and not summarize emails, or maybe give a report of what emails were received and what topics they were, maybe express for or against. But I think it's a bit of a slippery slope to start attaching emails to minutes.
Okay. Director Shoemaker.
I was gonna say, maybe perhaps, Sean, instead of attaching the emails themselves, that could also get kind of voluminous, right? For you guys to sort through.
You could, yeah.
If we can get at least a summary report from Lisa perhaps tossed in the minutes, so that way there is still some record of what was done, but it's not having to repeat them all verbatim.
Yeah, or even as opposed to listing, you know, if, I know there's been instances where, and this has happened a handful of times since I've been working with y'all, like a director individually will get an email from a resident that, oh, this person couldn't be here. But maybe that could be offered, but not even and then putting it in the whole email, but just summarizing against this issue or what have you.
Well, it could be part of her general management. Hey, we received 14 emails, pro 15 on X.
Yeah.
Okay, Director Roberts.
No, I think that we need to have a summary in it at least, because I do think there's some privacy with the names when they're sending them, so I think that's respectful. But I do think we need to identify them, just like they were citizens communication, that it was Cecilia Roberts that sent an email. I think that should be in there, just because it clarifies.
Okay, so I just heard contradicting things from you.
No, because the email has the email address.
You want their legal name, but not the email address?
Yeah, no, it's kind of like street address. You don't want that in there either unless you want to add it.
So a summary, I don't think would have 10 names. It would say 10 residents opposed, 14 for.
It depends on what the topic is.
May I ask a clarifying question that might help with the electric? So are we talking about citizen communications, like instead of standing up there for 3 minutes?
They send an email.
They send an email? Okay, so we're not talking about like, if they're hoping to communicate their opinion on something to me, and they're not meaning to stand up there for 3 minutes, I just wanna make sure I understand that.
They email to the GM. I have a concern about X.
Okay, right, but not necessarily in lieu of standing up here.
Correct.
Okay.
Or to, actually, I see y'all have park hours on the agenda, I'm opposed to this.
Mhm.
I'm opposed to changing the park hours.
So not,
in favor of such
okay, so not, okay, thank you. That's-
So what I heard from Sean and David Shoemaker is to have the GM do a summary that says, topic X would receive 10 emails for, 14 against. Topic C, that. What I heard from Director Roberts is she wanted all the residents' names listed for and against.
Because it's kind of like citizens communication.
Can I ask another question? And this is a question of Sean and Lisa. Sean, you're more familiar with like how the Capitol, they do witness lists, right? where you will register a position on, for, or against, it's just listed by name and their position. Lisa, would that be something feasible for you to do, like, for all the ones, like, to David Johnson's point, I'm not looking to try to scoop up all the, you know, kind of one-offs, they're not about items on the agendas, but if you have, I guess the thing is, I am essentially concerned about people trying to register an opinion about items on the agendas. And that being appropriately reflected, whether it's in the minutes or in the board book, but would that be something feasible for at least items on agenda, like if they reference a particular agenda item that we know by name and number, how many were for or against or neutral, right? And then kind of makes, I can send a copy of a legislative witness list if you'd like, but kind of like to give you an idea, like something like that. Do you think could that be feasible, whether it's minutes or in the board book?
Sure, yeah, well, it depends on the detail you're talking about.
I think there's that level to be like
I think
just
what
like
you're saying,
again.
yeah, is it too different than what Ursula's saying in terms of, you know, perhaps at the end of citizen communication, Lisa could offer, oh, we've heard on this issue, we've heard 3 people for, 1 against, you know, 2 on, or something like that.
Okay, Director Johnson?
So my thought is if they're actually sending an email for it to be citizen communication, then I might actually like to see the email in there, because that's their name and their address, that's what they would give us, plus the details of what they say. If we're not talking about that, then a witness list, I'd be fine with that, or
So
also.
currently, Lisa does send us all the emails. She'll send
No,
it
I
to all
know.
directors.
I just meant if we're talking about having it in the meeting minutes.
Yeah, and so.
The summary would be,
And Sean is recommending not to have it as part of the minutes.
right, so I'm fine with a summary for the emails that do not replace the up there part.
Okay,
if that makes
Director Young.
So many moving topics, but I'm gonna side with Sean's recommendation, and, as long as the policy is that Lisa gets a comment, it goes to all directors, I'm good with that, but as long as that's the policy. Now, if something changes, then of course we need to start having this information a different way, but, I just wanna make sure that we're all getting these, or we have access to them. We've all heard the residents' opinion, doesn't necessarily need to be broadcast to everybody else in the district. If they want to be broadcast, they can perhaps ask to have it read because I can't show up, or they can come and.
Can I make a comment for how like other bodies tend to do something on this, like from experience, is that usually if you go down to the Capitol, I'll use this as an easy example, you can register for something saying you're on, for, or against, and it goes on the record. They may read it sometimes, but people sometimes submit written tests, which kind of like citizen communications. Very rarely are those ever read out loud. They're entered in a record, but they're not, they're maybe noted.
Politely accepted.
And then, of course, people who speak, so that's the thing is like, if someone wants to speak and have someone come out and read their email, that'd be fine. I don't know if we want to get in the business of physically reproducing the entire emails in the books, like we get in by email, but I do think having like a witness list so the public could see like in the book, like on this topic we got, even if it lags a meeting, right? Like on agenda item 3, here's, Tom Jones, Larry Taylor, and Joe Blow all were opposed to agenda item 3, right? And then, someone else was in favor. That might at least give residents a handle, like, because like, to some extent, these are public documents, right? They're PRable. And so beyond protecting their emails, I don't think there's any reason to protect, like, if your neighbor is out there advocating against something like you're in favor of, like, got a reason to know, it's like down at the Capitol, people see you testify. So that kind of, maybe we perhaps test out like kind of having a witness list done with where the communications on agenda items, and we can see if that's too much work or not, it can be work.
I will say, I agree with you, good job characterizing how it does happen in the building. I will say, I don't know if there's another analogy in local government that follows that model, but I'm just.
There is, the city.
They might be for the city of Austin,
City of Cedar Park, we had to, when we registered, we said if we were for, opposed, or indifferent. And I remember they quoted you, and you're like, that's not what I said, that's not what I pushed. So, okay, so I'm gonna direct Sean to come back with some ideas for us to all, because I think we all had a little bit of input, okay? Meeting structure, okay, so it is 8:30, let's see if we can get through these pretty quickly. Meeting structure, including business meeting versus policy meetings. So I want us to consider, I know Wells Branch has done this in the past, having 2 different types of meetings, having the business meeting and then having a policy meeting. And both of them could be a heck of a lot shorter than what we have right now. And I was talking to Lisa and Aaron, and if we get past 2 hours, we're not effective. We're losing, we're not paying attention, we're dreaming off somewhere. When we get to your GM report, we're rushing you through. You're not the first one, we've done that to other GMs. So I would like us to consider having the business meeting 1 week. And then when we're talking about policy such, Taylor doesn't have to sit here and listen to us talk about surveys. Tom doesn't have to sit here and listen to, David Gray, unless it's something that pertains to him. So I'm not asking for a decision tonight, but I'm asking you all to think about it. It doesn't mean that we have to have a policy meeting every month, maybe it's every other month, but the goal is to run efficient meetings and make them shorter and concise. And so I would like for you all to kind of think about it a little bit and come back next month. I'll put it back on the agenda, and, so you've talked to a lot of districts before, so you probably have some ideas on this, but can we all kind of chew on it and come back next month? Okay, great, thank you. Town hall meetings, I would like for us to, and maybe give this to the communications subcommittee. Let's schedule a couple of town hall meetings. I know one of the big ones is having Wilco security. I know the OA did it many, many years ago. It was really well received. And so if you guys could come up with, like, maybe we do one town hall twice a year. And, I think security is definitely one. Residents, they want to, be your ally. They want to be your friend. And I think the more they understand about stuff, the better things are going to be. Like, you're not out here just like ticketing everyone, and they can share some of their concerns that you may not hear all the time. So security, I think, is a good issue. You guys think about something else?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, because of the ticketing and such. Some of the feedback that we got at the last meeting was, we're not getting enough policing, and like, we don't really know, like, they could go and look at the schedule and all the reports and, go back 2 years and do that, but it's their perception that we're getting less policing when that's not what we want to do.
Or that we're doing.
Yeah. Like, we want everybody to know what level we're doing it at, and if they want to say we want more or less, but I don't know that everybody's getting the right thing, so.
I think that'd be the benefit.
That would almost be like a benefit, so that they know that, hey, not always are we policing with marked police cars.
Yeah.
Right, sometimes they're just those big black cruisers that are ominous.
Okay, all right, so, are you guys good to work with Lisa and work on a town hall? I think it would be great to have one, sometime this summer, if that would work, okay. All right, citizen communications and procedures. So last, 2 weeks ago, we did something that we haven't done before, and we allow citizen communications throughout. It was very well received by the residents. We also saw that it took us a little bit longer. I think there's a happy medium there. And again, we don't need to make a decision tonight, but I would like for us to think about, especially if we split our meetings to business and policy, maybe in our policy meetings, we do allow them to speak for 3 minutes at the beginning, or take a minute and a half and then share that, or say that minute and a half after we discuss an agenda item.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, if folks have read it and are comfortable, I actually would, if the proposed solution is something people like, maybe we could approve to have it done next time, only because if we approve it next time, we can't do it next time, since there is some spin up, like on Lisa's part, to change the forms that sit over there. So I don't know what folks think. It is a change from what we do now, but it's 3 minutes, and they get to pick when they, within boundaries, they get to pick when they use it, so.
Okay, so is that a motion to?
Can I motion on my own?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion, you can second it.
Your motion is
To approve the proposals, or, because on agenda item 37, which basically, as I read it, is that we would keep the 3-minute time limit for residents to speak. However, we would allow them to wait to speak on an agenda item until after the board discussion is concluded.
Good, a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. So one thing I just want to add to that is one of the things I found last 2 weeks ago was they'd raise their hand when we were in the middle of discussion, or in the middle, we were doing the round the table. And I think what we need to do is let them know at the end of this agenda item, you can speak, but you can't interrupt us or, raise your hand. So let's add a little structure to that. Director Young?
I think another part of residents, both in their 3 minutes and the last time, they had questions. they don't exactly know how districts run. I was the same way when I first attended, and, you know, sometimes they're coming to complain about the OA, or the restrictions, or, I'm sorry, they're coming to praise the OA, but they're with the wrong thing. So what I would suggest is, if we're gonna go this direction, we have an outlet where directors agree to stay afterwards and discuss, answer these questions, which I'm willing to do. Hopefully everybody else is, like, maybe, you know, when we do our meetings, 15 minutes, you can come and ask, how does the government work, you know, in our area, like, help me out. That way they have a better 3 minutes when they do wanna speak.
Yeah, I don't think everyone has to agree to that, but I think it'd be nice if a few.
And then when a resident does use their 3 minutes, then we can say, hey, we're gonna stay after the meeting for 15 minutes,
Give
ask
questions.
whoever you'd like.
Okay, Director Johnson.
And just to be clear, the proposal is only for April and May. So if it's terrible twice, if it doesn't work for some unanticipated reason, then we don't do it anymore.
Okay.
And also the other part that I put in there was that we would discuss, because that's the part they're currently missing. Then they would have a chance to speak on the item, and then we would go around the table again, because hopefully their comments will inform our decision. So we would actually go around the table twice. Is the
Okay,
idea.
I think that's good. Director Roberts.
I gotta agree with David.
Okay, Director Shoemaker.
I think I'd like to try it out.
Okay, always try, always change if we need to. Okay, Code of Ethics, do we have anything on that?
Do we need to
Do
vote
we
on
need to
that?
vote on that, or is that a directive?
Yeah, let's vote. Yes, because you did the motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for keeping me on track.
So there was no vote on 36, just no action. Just.
It was a directive. Yeah. Okay, Code of Ethics, I don't think we have anything on that. 39, subcommittees. So I was contacted, as well as Lisa, from CTRMA? No, the railroad.
Yeah, Metro.
Cat Metro, thank you. We were contacted by Cat Metro, and they're gonna start to do, some surveying and some stuff. And they wanted to meet, with myself and Lisa. And what I'd like to do is do an ad hoc subcommittee. And so, is there anyone that would like to work on this? Shoemaker?
Yes, I'd volunteer.
Okay. Dave Johnson, okay. And so you could be the, sub, Cecilia could be the sub.
Yeah.
And, so I'll have Lisa share that information, I'll step out, so I don't need to be on those emails anymore. But they wanna know how we can communicate with the neighborhood and some of the changes that they're gonna be putting in place. They're talking about a double track, yeah, and it's gonna be, communication's gonna be the key.
Well, they got that TOD that's coming online, so that's probably what's gonna increase that traffic.
Okay, good deal. So that's a subcommittee if you wanna make it, I guess, an ad hoc
So David and I
subcommittee.
are ad hoc on this, okay.
I'll get that in. Future board meetings and agenda items, please send your agenda items to Lisa, Sean, or Denise. If you have anything, and review of meeting notes. So Robert, you're on. Unless, let me pause. Is there anything I didn't cover or anything that anyone else wants to add? Okay.
I don't have items, I haven't mapped them out yet, but the OA events was approved 4-0.
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to pause. We held a social media policy for Cecilia. So, okay, so, it's.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, everybody should have that. So it's 20 till 9. If everyone's in favor, we can put it on the next agenda, or do we want to just vote on it and I'm fine
This
with
is
it.
your,
I have some comments, so.
Okay, so do I have a,
Comments we just pin,
huh?
or if she has comments,
Yeah, why don't you, share your comments and then we will put it on the agenda for next.
this is issues of revenue, we have an actual discussion.
Yeah,
we could do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Oh,
April?
my comments are.
No, I was saying, pin it to next.
Okay.
Items we can discuss your comments.
Okay, I misunderstood you.
That's what I was asking, if we could.
That was coming up shop here.
Yes, that's what
Okay.
we can discuss your comments then, so.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, so, and I'm sure everybody read the new social media policy. Actually, I have 2 comments as well, so just be prepared next month to, suggest them and then we can hopefully vote on it. All right, review of meeting notes, gosh, I can't say that. It is.
I got a number, but it was the OA events were approved 4-0 before Director Roberts showed up, it was 3A.
3A.
I'll note that now. The survey newsletter was approved 4-0 before Director Roberts showed up.
And 7.
That was 7.
Mm-hmm.
And 12 was passed 5-0.
Item 12A.
16A, B, and C were all passed 5-0. We tabled it or paused it on 16D. 16E was passed 5-0. 18 was tabled. 19 passed 5-0. 20, 21, both of those passed 5-0. 22 was tabled. 23 was passed 5-0. 24 was tabled. 26C was passed 5-0.
Yes.
26A was no action.
Yeah, you said C. C's the only part we voted on.
No action.
Okay.
sorry.
27B, it passed 4-1. And I think we're designating who abstains or who dissents, right?
We just put approved or,
No, I think we agreed
Well,
to,
just
I think we're listing it's unanimous, we list two votes.
to be on the record,
We list
like,
4 and
if
against,
it
right?
blows up in our face, like I voted against it and it's on the record, you know, then.
27C was part of
18.
18. Is that right?
Yes, that's what I noted.
27C
Was just merged, it's the
it
same
was
thing.
part of 18.
Okay, table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a directive, but yeah, it's no action, no decision.
29A and B were both passed 5-0, and then 37 was passed 5-0.
Yes.
And then no action on, 30B.
table.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it 30 minutes.
There were two big ducks in.
Okay, do we need a motion to approve the minutes?
We did have a motion to approve the
So,
meeting.
we need a motion to adjourn.
You're right, the meeting notes now? Okay,
Yeah.
do we have a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn? A motion.
Second.